back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome. Really quick, I want to give a shout out to the replay gang. If you missed the party, I'm glad that you came back to watch this. You are definitely going to enjoy it, but of course, it is never as fun if you're not here live. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, change the notifications to all, and that is how you will never, ever miss another party. Also, before we start, I just want to give a shout out to the sponsor of the stream. That's right, as always, mysickshirt.com. All of these beautiful designs, whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, the only place to get official The Indian Jesus merch, only at mysickshirt.com. All right. So, what are we doing tonight? I feel like most of you should know who Adam Carolla is. I would actually be quite surprised.
We're becoming women. I think we're becoming one.
Hold on. Struggle streaming already.
The new.
Yeah, I assume a lot of you know who Carolla is, but according to the poll here, nobody does. So I'm gonna leave that up for a little bit. I think, hey, we got Salty in the building. Welcome, buddy. Welcome. So before we get into the main event of the Carolla and Stossel conversation, I figured it would be good to revisit really who Adam Carolla is in a political context. Because those of us who are a little bit older will know him from things. He's a comedian, so we'll know him from like the Man Show, the original version of the Man Show with Jimmy Kimmel, where before Jimmy Kimmel was a deep state plant or whatever, and just his stand up. He was a big part of the Opie and Anthony show, and he was essentially the first guy ever to have what is now known as a podcast. So lots of cool things to get into in the conversation itself. But since you guys don't know exactly who we're talking about, let's dive right in and see what kind of guy are we dealing with. So the first clip here is from CNN from 12 years ago. 12 years ago. Obama was the president. Just to hit that home, this is not some recent thing. 12 years ago. Let's see what we got.
8 o'clock on CNN.
And you guys know the StreamYard could be terrible with the sound, so if you cannot hear the video, please let me know so that I am not reacting to silence.
Parker Spitzer, weeknights on CNN.
Not anymore.
I don't even think we're becoming women. I think we're becoming one. I think it's like an X, and somewhere, whenever they filmed Mad Men, we were at the bottom of one side of the X, and you guys were at the bottom of the other.
Talking about men and women.
And just you think this is a dangerous thing to be avoided. You're trying to stand up there and swing away.
I think there's a reason why we're different, and it's mostly about the kids. I mean, it's mostly about
12 years ago.
I mean, here's dad and here's mom, not here's mom's got the six-pack abs and the dad's staying home. And
Okay, so you know that when kids come out of the chute, they are different. For the most part, they're very, very different.
Can you imagine just doing this report and throwing that that line out there like it's nothing today? But you do, of course, agree that, when they come out, they're very different. I mean, I thought so. 12 years ago, we all thought so.
right?
Absolutely.
We're trying to make them the same. What's up?
Twins,
and not
boys,
only
girls.
you have a boy and a girl, and they're wildly different.
And again, this is not Fox News. He hasn't really been on anything but Fox News, other than other podcasts and stuff. But in terms of news, the rest of the clips that we're going to be looking at, Fox News Channel, Fox Business, local Fox, because that's all who will talk to him anymore. But this is CNN.
And it's the same deal. It's the same thing. I sort of grew up on a steady diet from the 70s of all this crap where, well, it's all society and the man. And if you give a little boy a dolly, he'll love that dolly just like he'll love his truck.
No.
BS.
Right,
BS.
right.
People should all be run down and
But you're
sued,
winning
by
this
the way.
debate now, right? I mean, you're winning. I think there's a real pushback, and people are buying your.
How can you argue with it? It's so true. You have,
all right, look.
You have kids. You can.
This would be straight up considered as transphobia today.
Son a doll. I was one of those people.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I gave him a doll because I wanted him to be. I grew up at the same time you did. I did, but he like started ripping the arms off.
He recovered.
No, I recovered quickly because then I said, "What am I doing? This is ridiculous."
That we don't know about.
It's ridiculous to give a girl, or what did he say? A boy a doll or a girl a truck? That's ridiculous. Boys don't like dolls. Girls don't like trucks. Crazy.
No, and girls, girls will sit and watch things and talk and chit chat. They like to do that. They like to build.
We're very different. We're different, and it's good. In the animal kingdom, they're different. We don't have a problem with it. We're not like, hey, that polar bear chick and that polar bear dude aren't almost the same. How come she's doing this and he's out hunting for blubber? This is unfair. No, it's the way it is. It's a kingdom.
What the fuck? Oh.
Well, the NFL used to create the head of the 2022 season.
Hold on. Oh, struggle streaming. Hold on 1 second. What is playing? Okay, hold on 1 second. Getting ahead of myself. All right. So was that the other one that we just finished? Because I do want to revisit that one. Okay. So that was, like I said, that was 12 years ago. 12 years ago, not only Adam Carolla, but the host sitting there joking and laughing about the notion of course, boys and girls are different. Of course. What else could possibly be the case? What else could possibly be the case? And look where we are today. So we fast forward to last year, about 1 year ago. And from Fox News saying Adam Carolla torches comedians as cowards for not pushing against Biden. Oh, hold on. Forgot to unmute that. Take two.
Many self-styled comedians are holding back on poking fun at Joe Biden. It seems like they're not interested in making any jokes that might alienate the woke audience they built during the Trump presidency. And of course, they wouldn't dare undermine any of Biden's radical policies.
You're like, okay.
The guy's the most boring anchor I've ever heard. So we got a quote here from Samantha Bee. So you may not be familiar with Samantha Bee because despite the fact that she had a late night show of her own that ran for years, nobody watched it.
On CNN.
God damn it, I keep doing that. Hold on.
Okay, well, we could be making jokes about we could be making jokes about the infrastructure plan, but in general, I'm like, oh, this is great. I mean, why would I purposefully undermine something that seems to be a great idea?
Cope.
Pretty much across the board. Like, I don't need to make jokes just to make jokes. Like,
isn't that your job as a comedian?
I like to make really targeted jokes. There are more worthy targets right now, I think.
More worthy targets than Joe Biden to make fun of. Like Dr. Fauci? Like Andrew Cuomo? Like Chris Cuomo? Like Gavin Newsom? Okay, but they're not our president.
More worthy targets of the President of the United States. Here now is Adam Carolla, New York Times bestselling author and host of The Adam Carolla Show. Adam, thanks so much for coming on with me tonight.
Thank you.
Is there anything funny about Joe Biden?
Is there anything not funny about Joe Biden?
Yeah, there's funny things about Joe Biden. There's funny things about Trump. There were funny things about Obama. You know, comedians have to kind of challenge themselves. So Trump was a big, bombastic, over the top cartoon character who almost every comedian disagreed with politically. So that was a
Wait,
layup
You clicked the
comedically.
wrong thing on the
Now
poll?
there's Biden, who's
I'll
much more
refresh.
subdued, and they agree with him politically. So now it's time to really prove yourself as a comedian and figure out a way to lambaste Joe Biden. Trump is a layup comedically. Trump is like getting heckled by a fat guy at a comedy club who's got 2 plates of nachos in front of him. That's an easy one. So they're not up to this challenge. They're not up to the challenge because they don't want to be up to the challenge, but that's what comedians' jobs are. And I would argue stop doing comedy if you're going to pick and choose your challenges.
One of the things that we saw so much over the past 4 years is this degradation of particularly late night comedy, where you had these writing teams that were putting out jokes that really seemed to be more about getting claps than getting laughter.
Clapter.
And I wondered, if with the absence of Trump, if we would actually go back to having some funny in late night. Unfortunately, it doesn't really seem to be there yet because, what's to dispute about this infrastructure plan that Samantha Bee and everybody else seems to support?
Well, it's interesting, if you want to find the highest per capita group of Ivy League degrees, go to the writing room of a late night talk show host. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I never thought about it. I've been in those rooms before. It's Yale, Harvard, and Brown, and Stanford. There are no junior college.
So you can see that he's got he is a comedian. That's his number one. But he absolutely has a perspective. He absolutely has thought these things through, and he's absolutely presenting something that is real. And as we saw from the clip from 12 years ago, I'm going to keep saying that, from 12 years ago, it was calling out all this gender bender bullshit.
Alums in that room. So I'm just sort of thinking about this in real time, but as a group of people who went through the sort of elite system of the Ivy League system and then found their way into a writer's room. So of course you're going to get those jokes the same way if you had a whole bunch of guys in that room that did tractor repair, you'd have a bunch of tractor repair jokes on late night monologues.
Makes sense.
It really is frustrating to me to see this element take hold in comedy. I'm curious whether you think there's a new generation of people coming up, lots of young comics who are doing great work. Do you think that they'll be able to escape this woke moment and that we'll look back on this as being something that was an aberration?
I'm sorry, that guy is so boring.
I mean, comedy traditionally pushes against the norms, and Donald Trump was easy because he was the man. And it's easy to push against a man you disagree with and who is sort of a caricature of the man, so to speak. But what I try to say to everyone in California and in Los Angeles, Donald Trump is not the man. Gavin Newsom is the man. So if you're going to push back against the man, then push back against Gavin Newsom. And because most of them are cowards, they go, oh, not that man. Well, you don't get to pick and choose the man.
Boom. And so, again, just giving you a couple little things here to give us an understanding of who is this guy so that as we go into the conversation, you guys have an understanding of who we're dealing with. So this one is a little more recent. This is from 7 months ago and right around the time of the Oscars. And so, again, just a little clip, and let's see what he is all about.
Parker.
Well, the NFL has just decreed that ahead of the 2022 season, all teams in the league must hire an offensive coach who is, quote, a female or a member of a racial or ethnic minority.
Yep. That's offensive to me.
NFL did not define the word female or even define the term racial minority, since the majority of players in the NFL are Black. They're the only big player in American entertainment that has a new set of quotas. The Oscars says it will disqualify any film that doesn't have enough, quote, black, gay, or disabled actors by 2024. By the way, if that policy had been in effect last year, it would have disqualified the Best Picture winner this year. Adam Carolla is a comedian and author and lifelong resident of the state of California, where a lot of these decisions are made. And he joins us in the studio. Adam, it's great to see you. I can't come to LA without seeing you. Put this together. What are we looking at here?
Well, it's a constant obsession in 2022 of a problem that has essentially been solved years ago.
Hey, we got Doug in the building. Welcome, buddy. We are checking out John Stossel and Adam Carolla. But for those who don't know who Adam Carolla is, just taking a couple sound bites from different news clips that he's done. I know a lot of people know him from his comedy, know him from like the Man Show and stuff, but maybe not too familiar with his political stances. So just going through that, and then we get to the main event.
And it's hurting the country, obviously, to keep talking about this thing. It's like when Jaws came out. Remember when Jaws came out? No one wanted to go in the ocean because they thought they were going to, except for statistically, it doesn't exist. That's essentially what we're doing with racism. We just keep beating it and beating it and beating the drum. And we used to be bring us the best and the brightest, and now it's bring us the least whitest.
So, I mean, it seems
Tucker didn't even know what to do with that. Bring us the best and brightest. Well, now just bring us the least white and least male. They can have a dick. They just can't identify as such.
Seems like the NFL would be maybe one of the last places you'd want to bring this up, since it's over 65% black. I don't know anyone who has a problem with that. We assume it's a meritocracy. I think it is.
The main event is the full discussion between John Stossel and Adam Carolla.
That's why people love sports so much.
Exactly.
I mean, my Rams won the Super Bowl. I think, 10 out of 11 guys on the defensive side of the ball were black. And I assume that's because of the best players the Rams can put on the field.
I assume
that's
too.
The way I like it. And I cheer as hard for everybody because I'm cheering for the Rams like I'm cheering for this country.
Facts. And I used to have a very strong opinion about like this stupid elitist liberal opinion. They're like, well, if people just cared as much about politics as they do about sports, then da 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 da. Now we're in a world where everybody thinks they care about politics, but they don't actually, just like football, they don't actually learn anything. They just sit there and watch what's fed to them, and they have strong opinions. Very strong opinions. Not good. Did not see that one coming. Guys, if you have not hit the like button, that would be so amazing. I would love to make this our biggest party yet. And that like button is the number one thing that will help this video go out to others. So please, 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 it's just a boop. Just tap it.
Weird industry to introduce quotas like this.
And it's also super unfair to the people because whether it's a student on the campus of Harvard or the first bi, gay, lesbian.
Hey, we got traditionalists in the building. Welcome. A TSP staple is now here in my party. Welcome, brother. Said, I don't know Stossel or Carolla, but isn't Tucker the guy that blamed Texas blackouts on windmills? Maybe. I do not know about that.
Black, female assistant coach. Everyone is looking at her. She may be incredibly qualified, but
shout out to Doug. His 6 shirts from my6shirt.com are on the way. Awesome. Which ones did you get?
People are going to think she's only there because of this quota system.
So
that's an important point. I mean, I know it's not like one that people never talk about, but the problem with affirmative action
is looking at her. She may be incredibly qualified, but people are going to think she's only there because of this quota system.
And that absolutely is an aspect of affirmative action that if you talk to people who are affirmative action hires, if you talk to people who don't know if they are affirmative action hires, it really affects them. They think about it. They know that, hey, I got that one too. Nice. I got the fourth turning, the weak men, strong men. Yeah, weak men make bad times make strong men make good times, and good times make weak men. Fourth turning. Awesome. Yeah, dude. Head to my6shirt.com to get some awesome shirts and even your very own Indian Jesus merch.
Point. I mean, my theory in recent weeks has been this is too nuts. Too few people are benefiting from it. Is going to end. Like, when does this revolution burn itself out?
I think we're hitting some sort of saturation, critical mass point. Although I say that every 4 months, and then they go crazier. But it's also really insidious. Like, when the politicians get up there and they go, we need a fire captain that represents the community that he or she. It's like, no, you don't. You need a good fire captain. Right? It's racist to think that he would only help people who look like him. I mean, when they get up there and they do that, scared of people who look different than you, that's insidious. You couldn't get along in this country if that was your mindset.
Do you know anyone who feels that way? I mean, you've lived in this country for over 50 years.
Bill Malusian is the only.
I know people who joke about being like that. I know people who get a rise out, or not a rise, but they like to make racist jokes and just mean jokes in general because of the fact that it's mean. But they not directly, but he yes, I do. Thank you. Yeah. So it's not like a per shirt deal. So don't just go buying a bunch of shirts just to try to help me out. It's a flat fee. So just buy whatever your heart brings you to buy. But I thank you again so much for that. What was I just saying? Shit, I forgot what he was saying.
Do you know anyone who feels that?
Oh yeah, I know people who like to make terrible jokes, but they're just jokes. I don't know anybody who is legitimately racist like that. I know people who have unconscious biases, but we all do. So what do you want to do about it?
Boy, I mean, you've lived in this country for over 50 years.
Bill Malusian is the only guy I know.
Hey, we got Trey in the building. Let me read his comment before he leaves again. It says the problem with the NFL was that with almost a whole league that's black, there was only 3 black head coaches. And guys that never coached in the NFL were starting to get the job over qualified black ones. So to me, that is a problem with a indie film. Yeah, Doug just said his shirts are on the way. But again, before Trey leaves again, this is a problem for sure. But the problem is that qualified people are being passed over. Period. That is the problem. So if that is happening because of racism, then yes, that is a problem. But just sticking people who fit the right box in the place is not going to solve the reason. It's not going to address why these qualified coaches are being passed over. That is the point. And so I definitely agree that that's a problem. But that's the point. It's about qualifications. It's about merit.
What a good man, Bill Malusian.
But he's got the best hair on TV, so I got to bring him down a peg.
The makeup artist says it's entirely real.
All right, so now a few more of you are here. I want to play the other one, the one I started on. This is Adam Carolla, 12 years ago. It's short, so we're salty. We're not gonna. But 12 years ago. This is 2010. Obama was in office when this happened.
Spitzer, weeknights on CNN.
I don't even think we're becoming women. I think we're becoming one. I think it's like an X. And somewhere, whenever they filmed Mad Men, we were at the bottom of one side of the X, and you guys were at the bottom of the other.
Talking men and
we're
women.
heading toward
and
this.
You think this is a dangerous thing to be avoided? You're trying to stand up there and swing away.
I think there's a reason why we're different, and it's mostly about the kids. I mean, it's mostly about saying, "Here's dad and here's mom," not here's here's you know, mom's got the six-pack abs and the dad's staying home, and
Okay, so you know that when kids come out of the chute, they are different for the most part. They're very, very different, right?
Absolutely.
You could not say this. You could not say this 12 years ago. Doug, I'm going to come back to these. I just want to finish this.
We're trying to make them the same. What's up?
Twins,
and not
boys,
only
girls.
I have a boy and a girl, and they're wildly different, and it's the same deal. It's the same thing. I sort of grew up on a steady diet from the 70s of all this crap where, well, it's all society and the man, and if you give a little boy a dolly, he'll love that dolly just like he'll love his truck.
No.
See, and the CNN hosts are like, no, gender bender shit, no way.
So people should all be run down and sued, by the way.
Now, right? I mean, you're winning. I think there's a real pushback, and people are buying your.
How can you argue with it? It's so true. You have you have kids.
Well, they certainly figured out how to argue it.
I gave my son a doll. I was one of those people.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I gave him a doll because I wanted him to be. I grew up at the same time you did.
And again, I gave my son a doll, and dude here's like, no, you didn't. What are you talking about? That's so silly.
I did, but he like started ripping the arms off.
He recovered.
No, I recovered quickly because then I said, "What am I doing? This is ridiculous."
That we don't know about.
No, and girls, girls will sit and watch things and talk and chit chat. They like to do that. They like to build.
We're very different. We're different, and it's good. In the animal kingdom, they're different. We don't have a problem with it. We're not like, hey, that polar bear chick and that polar bear dude aren't almost the same. How come she's doing this and he's out hunting for blubber? This is unfair. No, it's the way it is. It's the kingdom.
That 12 years ago, and this isn't about anything except that the ideas that are now so out of whack, the ideas that are so offensive. 12 years ago on CNN, they were just talking about it and joking about it, and nobody cared. So it can't be that big of a deal. Okay, if you want to tell me LGBT, whatever people are struggling in this way and that way, I'm here to listen. But don't come and act like the world has fucking turned on its head in the last 12 years. All right, so let's get back to this. Trey originally said the problem with the NFL was that there was only 3 black head coaches, and guys that never coached in the NFL were starting to get jobs over qualified black ones. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Doug is responding to that. But he says it's a small market too, which is a fantastic point. If there's only 50 head coaches, then demographics, you wouldn't do any type of scientific study, any type of psychological study with only 50 people. They're basically celebrities, as Doug says. Goes on to say, you can only govern so much. Then you have to let the market participants contract freely. Otherwise, you strangle the economy and no one wins. So I agree with that. And I am going to take Trey's word for it that that's happening where legitimately qualified people are being passed over. I don't know enough about that particular situation to understand why that might be. I would definitely need to see some direct evidence to be like, oh yeah, it's because racism. Now, Roger Goodell is not necessarily the nicest person in any respect, but the point is that affirmative action is not an answer to anything. And it's certainly not an answer to overqualified people being passed over, because that's what affirmative action is. Stishna says the difference is that those dolls were called G.I. Joes, and hey, those are action figures. They're action figures. So we got two more short clips. This one is him going off on AOC, and then we'll get into the main event.
Entertainment icon John Cleese is sounding off on wokeness and the effect that it has on comedy today. Take a listen to this.
I think this is the right band.
A lot of comedians now are sitting there, and when they think of something, they start thinking, could I get away with that?
He's old as fuck.
And that's the death of creativity. So if you're worried about offending people and constantly thinking of that, you are not going to be very creative. So
Who doesn't know who John Cleese is? Put a 1 in the chat if you don't know who he is.
I think it has a disastrous effect.
It's the cancel culture. Adam Carolla, comedian, joins me now to talk about this. Adam, good morning. Do you think John Cleese is right?
100%.
Whoa, nobody hit the like button? Come on, guys. Can I get just one of you? Just one of you. None of you are going to hit that like button? Come on.
And, I don't think people think about the ramifications of things. So I've always said,
Let's speed these up.
people being canceled is bad, but the real insidious part of this whole thing is comedians canceling themselves before they tell the joke. They get up in their head, and it's the death of creativity, whether you're painting or creating a joke or writing a script where you just go, I don't think I should say, then it's over.
Then it's over. Once you start that they've won. Once you start censoring yourself, they don't need to censor you anymore. And of course, it's nuanced. There's, if you don't censor yourself at all, then you won't have a platform. And that's why we say things like shushmartian and the procedure and RPay and all of these words to dance around and self-censor. But we do our best to still get the thank you, Doug. It's just once they have gotten to where they have gotten, where now individuals like myself are self-censoring, we lost. And so there's definitely a way to turn turn this tanker around, but we are way far down the wrong road. So this one says, why should a comedian be worried about being shunned by Germans, lesbians, and others that, according to Stossel, don't get humor? I don't think that's who he's concerned about. I think it's about everybody else who pays to go see comedy. Come on. Go.
That's the end of creativity. And it kind of reminds me of like school closures. Like, I'm from Los Angeles, so they went, let's shut all the schools for a year and a half because of COVID. What could go wrong? And it's like, well, now we see what's going wrong, and let's cancel all the comedians.
Right.
What could go wrong? Well, now we see what's going on. You've taken these free thinkers and you've got them up in their head, and they're scared, and it stifles creativity.
Yeah. All right, I want to get your thoughts on this one because it makes me laugh. I want to get you, is Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar, members of the squad, pretending to be handcuffed after their arrest at an abortion rights protest. They magically are able to lift their arms with a fist and then magically have to go back. It's a Copperfield trick, I think. Do you have a pair of invisible handcuffs as well, Adam?
No, I think only Wonder Woman has those. I know she has an invisible lasso, an invisible plane. She must have some invisible cuffs. Hopefully only used in the bedroom. It's insane how these women, who are amongst the most privileged people, not only in the United States, but in the planet and on the planet, have to turn themselves into martyrs. And they're constantly talking about the threats and they were attacked, and they're essentially making themselves martyrs when it doesn't exist in the country. They're the most privileged people on the planet. It's despicable, but also they're kind of horrible people to do this. It's
kind of.
It is a really immature thought as well. Like, I live in the greatest country in the world. I'm in a great position, and I'm going to constantly count myself amongst the oppressed.
This is a good question here. This says, traditionalist. See, this is what happens when you don't do your vocal warm-ups. You're all teeth. If woke people pay money to see a comedy show that aggravates them, they aren't that awake, or at least smart, are they? Hey, they are definitely not smart. Actually, that's not fair. It's too easy to that's too easy. This is a good comment, and I want to go and just be like, well, yeah, of course they're not smart, but there's an entitlement that comes with being woke. That even though comedy has been an industry where you don't get to be offended, like that's not a thing. Like you go see the comedy show, you like it, you don't like it, it is what it is. But they feel entitled to flip that on its head The same way we were just watching the same guy 12 years ago joking with CNN analysts about how silly it was to give a boy a doll. Here we are. That's where that leads. That entitlement. Hey, we got Mike W. in the building. Says comedians are the canary in the coal mine for free speech. Super facts, brother. Glad to have you here. And that is exactly what we are getting at with Adam Carolla and John Stossel when we get there. Just want to make sure everybody has a good idea of who Adam Carolla is outside of his comedy, and then we're going to get into it. Welcome, brother. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. They're talking about when Ilhan Omar and AOC pretended to be handcuffed.
Yeah, it's pathetic is the word I would use. Last one for you, Adam. You have a new book out. It's called Everything.
All right, we don't need that. Okay, last little piece, and then the main event. This one is from 6 months ago, and another Tucker clip entitled "People Are Emboldened Now." Let's see.
So Adam Carolla is a comedian. He'll be up on stage this weekend in Indianapolis, and we hope he's got security. He joins us tonight. Adam Carolla, thanks so much for coming on. So if you can, it's pretty easy to take the core question here is abortion, what should we do about it? But this decision basically says, hey guys, go vote on it because it's a democracy. Why don't you decide? And the response from a lot of people on the
how dare they give people the right to choose?
Left is, shut up, I'm going to hurt you. What do you make of this?
Well, it's been pretty effective. I mean, if you look at the last couple of years, you look at BLM, you look at all the riots, they've essentially got their way. I mean, they'd be kind of foolish not to go back to that playbook. I mean, look at COVID. Look at anyone who disagreed with anything they said, any doctor that disagreed with anything they said, anyone who tweeted something that was.
Thank you so much for the likes, guys. I really appreciate it.
Different from their normative views, they were thrown off. So we have let their tactics be effective. I mean, I talk to comedians every day and they're like, I think about the jokes before I say them, the audience I worry about. It's been effective. So they're going to keep going with it as long as we let them keep going with it and it keeps being effective.
Well, sure. I mean, if you let your kids spray paint your living room, they probably keep doing it. Why didn't someone think of that when we allowed a small group of angry people to torture cities?
I think a lot of people thought about that. I think maybe not everybody, but a lot of people thought about that. And we're screaming from the rooftops. Namely, 12 years ago on CNN, Adam Carolla. But nobody listened. Nobody listened.
I don't know. I mean, if you really think about a stand-up club, like a comedy club, it is the.
This is I watched this part before. Brilliant point here. He's saying, if you think about a comedy club, let me just back it up. Brilliant point here. And then we're getting into the main event of the evening.
Really think about a stand-up club, like a comedy club, it is the town square. We always sort of talk about the digital town square that is Twitter, but a stand-up club is a town square. A person gets up on a 3-foot riser and amplifies their voice and shares their opinions. And we somehow decided the town square was an antiquated idea, or if whoever had the microphone said something they disagreed with. I mean, I now do shows and people in the audience are disagreeing out loud. They're giving their opinion out loud. That never existed in the past.
What show is this? I remember seeing this. I don't remember what it's from.
The audience, I was a comedian.
Remember?
You sat and listened. You got a 2-drink minimum. I said my jokes. People are emboldened now, and it's like the same thing that's happening on comedic stages is really happening on commercial airline flights. Like people are now somehow feeling like they can physically put their hands on other people. They
entitlement.
Yeah, that is press we want to stop. And you think the democracy defenders would be opposed to it, of course, before it. Weird. Adam Carolla, appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
It's the Oscars. That is exactly it. There was another clip. Maybe I was not paying attention. I thought in the NFL clip they talked about the Oscars. But there may have been another clip because I went through a bunch of them to to just get a little bit of like I said, a little bit of background for you guys. And yeah, so that's who we're dealing with. We're dealing with a younger boomer, older Gen X. Let's call him a younger boomer. let's call him an older Gen X guy. But even so, he's always been very to the point, very observant about society, as many comedians are, and able to articulate things in a way that just not a lot of people have. And so he did sit down with John Stossel, who is another political commentator, podcaster. I almost forgot. There was a John Stossel video that I wanted to show you guys. Quick one, quick, before we got to the interview. This one was really, I actually saw this on TikTok, but where the fuck was it? I just saw it. Check this out.
Cupcakes for sale.
This week in a Manhattan mall, I held a bake sale, a racist bake sale.
We have different prices here. If you're Asian, $1.50. If you're white, $1. If you're Latino or black, 50 cents.
That's not right.
Is the cupcake poison?
I didn't come up with this idea. I copied what some students had done. They call it an affirmative action bake sale.
And we already talked about how much affirmative action is just doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
You shut down?
Here at Bucknell University, the administrators shut the bake sale down. The Students' Conservative Club said they just wanted to start a conversation about affirmative action.
Do you think, actually, I'm going to make this a poll question. Do you think that if this was not a conservative group, if a liberal group held the bake sale, would it have been shut down? I mean, I don't see what angle they would take to say, oh, no, you can't do this. Well, we're helping minorities. But because it's from the conservative side and they're making a point, rules for thee, but not for me.
Does make it harder for Asians to get admitted, but easier for blacks and Latinos. But before much conversation started, they were shut down. So I ran the bake sale so we could see what kind of discussion the Bucknell students missed.
He's trying to make amends for racism. And
so again, if you're just joining us, he is doing an affirmative action bake sale where white people pay $2, or Asian people pay $1.50, white people pay $1, and blacks or Latinos only pay 50 cents for the same cupcake.
Punish the Asians because they have an advantage. They have such high SAT scores.
No, that's not true. Because I had an Asian student in my class that was dumped as a cardboard.
That's racist.
It is stereotyping.
That's not right.
Affirmative action is supposed to help minorities that have been discriminated against. But Latinos and blacks who saw my sign didn't like it.
Yeah, Any Film says a liberal group could have had a bake sale that sold only to black and brown people, period, and it would have been okay. I agree. Yeah, you can see the sign here. Priceless. Asians $1.50, whites $1, Latinos and blacks 50 cents. You would think this goes directly in line with the liberal agenda.
That makes me feel bad because
It makes me feel bad. But we're helping you. We're giving you more money. You're so oppressed. And we're helping you. Cupcakes don't pay for college. Well, it depends on how many you eat. But with these, I mean, if this was real, what I would do, if I could pass for the 50 cents, I would buy all the cupcakes for 50 cents, sell them back to everybody for $1.
both Latino and black.
Should I not do this because it might hurt people's feelings?
Not only it should hurt people's feelings, but it's just like out of sense of respect.
It's very hurtful. It's very demeaning.
And America has been a bastion of free speech. Oh, except for a few places like the liberal media, especially ABC News, where I used to work. No, actually, they were pretty good. They pretty much let me say most things. The real bastion of political correctness and rules against certain kinds of speech has become the American university. I think a university would be a safe haven for free speech. It's supposed to be. A justification for giving teachers tenure was to make sure they could freely express even unpopular ideas.
That's another conversation that doesn't come up enough. The idea of tenure was specifically, as he just said, so that teachers didn't have to worry about a woke mob coming after them for ideas that the students didn't like. It was supposed to be a place where you challenge yourself. That was the whole idea of tenure. And look where we are now.
But today, some universities try to ban unpopular ideas. Helping to fight that is a group called FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education. They defend students whose speech is shut down by universities.
Hit that poll, yo. We have
50-50. He joins us now with 2 students whose schools told them, shut up. Kirby Thomas ran that affirmative action bake sale at Bucknell that we showed you being shut down earlier. Hayden Barnes criticized his school for building a parking garage. He said it was environmentally unfriendly. The administrators didn't like that. So they drove him out of school. Hayden, what do you mean they drove you out of school?
I was dismissed for disagreeing with the university president about the necessity of a parking deck.
And that's all you did? You said, I disagree?
Well, I made alternatives known in a letter to the student newspaper, to the student government, and the faculty senate.
See, that's where you went wrong. It's okay to disagree with these people because then they can just call you, I just got a good, I was going to say Nazi, but then I got a good one to jump around the algorithm. Oh, Yahtzee. They'll call you a Yahtzee and be done with it. When you present alternative ideas, now you're a threat. Now you're a threat.
I also posted a satirical cartoon on my Facebook page.
And for this, they called you a clear and present danger.
Yes, they did.
It's totally true.
Greg Luciano?
The left be like...
Hayden's case, I mean, before working at FIRE, I had no idea. You can get in trouble for the most incredible nonsense on college campuses. And I feel like our society is largely in denial about this. Hayden Barnes got kicked out of college for a collage he placed on Facebook criticizing a parking garage. I can't repeat that enough. And if you're already got that far gone, something seriously wrong has happened in the places that are supposed to encourage free speech, like really brave free speech.
And you, court case, eventually it takes forever, but then you had to graduate from another school.
I had to transfer, and I'm currently in law school, but it has been quite a struggle.
And a bad outcome if that's what put you in law school.
Some would say that.
Kirby, why did you want to run a affirmative action bake sale?
Our group thinks affirmative action is a really relevant topic, important to talk about, and we just wanted to get a discussion going on.
But we don't. We have squinty eyes. Okay, that means that we're inherently, depending on the context, more oppressed, or depending on a different context, less oppressed than white people. Don't you get it, Doug? It's very simple. Is it though?
Our campus.
You oppose race-based affirmative action.
Absolutely.
And it is pretty provocative.
It is. It's hard to get people talking on a college campus. And when you do something controversial, and, opposing affirmative action is kind of controversial anyway on a college campus, but...
Kind of?
I guess that's an understatement. But in that context, it really got people talking.
But the talk was stopped because within an hour you were shut down.
Yeah, the students who came wanted to talk about it. We had a great discussion going, even agreed on some points about like maybe socioeconomic affirmative action for underprivileged students economically. But the university came and they didn't want any of that going on.
Well, I ran my bake sale, so I could hear some of the comments that I assume you would have heard had you been allowed to run yours. And the comments were interesting. At first,
I'm so glad you're here, traditionalist.
First, people called me racist.
What is funny to you about people who are less privileged?
But then some people defended me.
You're trying to make a point, right?
Right.
So sometimes you got to do things like that to make a point. It's not racist.
And people start.
That's what culture jamming is. Putting these silly ideas that are very esoteric and work when you use them in a very narrow context and taking them out of that context and showing how fucking ridiculous they are in any other context except the one that you created. This is ridiculous to do this. Of course you can't do that. But why? That conversation is one that most people, I'll go out on a limb and say most people are not prepared to have. I think most of the people that saw this and had an issue with it were not able to articulate that. We're not able to say, this is why this is wrong. And maybe more poignantly, not poignantly, is that a word? Maybe even more pointed, didn't even understand what point he was trying to make.
Started to think about what affirmative action means.
no race of people is worth more than another, or less.
Well, do you believe in affirmative action in colleges?
I used to, but I really don't think that it helps.
By the end, most people said equality means no affirmative action.
Everybody should be treated equally. No matter what race you come from, everybody should get equal the same.
I keep telling y'all, I have faith in Gen Z. They are young now. But when they get into their mid 20s, 30s, I have faith. I have faith that they are going to see how infantilized my generation of millennials continues to be. And I think they're really going to push against that. Any film says the only systematic racism that exists in the United States is called affirmative action. Bars.
So I found that interesting. People went from belligerence to a real conversation, and I guess that's your point.
On every major issue that America faces today, I've seen students get in trouble for being on the wrong side of that argument. And you can't have a meaningful dialogue if people have to fear punishment for having an opposite opinion.
And these bake sales have been shut down not just at your school, but at UCLA, William and Mary, UC Irvine. Most schools these days do allow them. They've wised up.
Yeah, they started back in 2003, and the first 6 that that were held, universities found all these different excuses for shutting them down, basically coming down to the fact they didn't like the message. And there's been at least 3 dozen of these protests, and I think actually many more over the years. But Bucknell is just standing firm. They kind of like
Bucknell just last night sent me an email. State and federal.
So before he goes into that, on the point of Gen Z, Stossel says they're being raised by entitled ones, though. I worry that'll rub off on them. I do see that, but or I do take your point. But we see generation after generation after generation after generation that there is an inherent thing. I don't know. There's an inherent drive for children to rebel against their parents. And so we saw this in the early 80s when the hippie generation was having kids. And a lot of those kids were Reaganites. It's the pendulum swings back and forth. Whatever your parents do is not cool. When you're 20, whatever your parents do, whatever your parents think, it's not cool. And being cool is something that is very important to you. And so if being all entitled and being a Karen and doing this and doing that and that being associated with being embarrassed online and going viral for the wrong reasons, that stuff didn't exist when millennials like myself got onto the internet. That's a relatively a new thing. And so if you're not a super online person, you could very easily reach 30 without ever understanding the power of what it means to go viral for a negative reason, which is why we see so many Karens and others doing it. And so I do think, again, Gen Z is still young right now. But as they get older, mark my words, as a millennial, Gen Z will do much more for this world before the age of 40 than millennials. Mark my words.
Laws prohibit discrimination.
Yeah.
The university believes in upholding the law. There's no just kidding clause in the law. So this price discrimination is discrimination.
Yeah, I love this argument that Bucknell's standing by because it's clearly a symbolic protest. There's nobody denies that. And there are these things called gender gap bake sales across the country where women get charged less than men to protest the gap in pay between men and women.
This is not anything new either. Ladies' night has been a thing at bars and clubs forever. And although that is not fair in that sense, it makes sense. So nobody really gives a shit. Doug says Rogan's parents were hippies, and he went the other way because he saw what a hypocrite his dad was, who beat his mom. Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, that's the natural order of things. If your parents are super into, like, I have a lot of friends. Because of the music that I grew up with, and specifically in high school, like metal, hardcore, all that kind of stuff, where I thought that, I thought that was the coolest. I still think that's the coolest music there is. But you see how Gen Z looks at like I mean, maybe Metallica type bands are in, but you know, early 90s rock, like that's so cringe to Gen Zers. Anything millennials do, and it's starting now. You know, I would say your average Gen Z is maybe 15 to 22, right in that area. I don't know. I'm just off the top of my head. I don't really know, but right in that area. And they're starting to divert from their childhood where you definitely, your parents definitely rub off on you a lot. They're just now getting to that age where that diversion is going to happen. And yeah, Carolla's mom and any films. See, do your vocal warm-ups before you go live. Carolla's mom and dad were hippies, and his grandmother and her friends were basically communists. Wow, didn't know that. And look what we got. So we got another generation of wokesters with millennials, not like myself, but I am a millennial, people my age. And so we're due for the pendulum swinging.
Feminist group complaining about the so-called pay gap.
Yep.
Does the same thing.
And they never get shut down.
Is it just conservatives who get shut up?
You know, definitely you're much more likely to get in trouble if you have a socially conservative point of view on
That's
campus.
a fair answer.
In my experience, and Fire has come to the defense of people all over the political spectrum. We've certainly had cases where we've had to come to the defense of PETA at a school in Florida where an administrator just said, I like her honesty, that she actually came out and said, you can't table for PETA because I don't like that group.
But I would think
that's the biggest difference right now between the liberals, and again, we'd always talk about how amorphous these terms are, but liberals and conservatives, is that conservatives tend to more often have these values that exist and can supersede which side of the aisle you're on. If you're for free speech, then you're for free speech. But on the left, it's just about, I want to say the things that I want to say, but you shouldn't be able to say anything that I don't like. And of course, that's oversimplifying it, but barely.
Most of the time, they would say, we want to have a civilized discussion. We want our campus to be a kind place. If students feel oppressed, they won't learn. That sounds reasonable.
It sounds very nice.
Does it though?
But freedom of speech and
Sounds
academic
nice.
freedom and meaningful discussion is a deadly serious business. And if you limit it only to what people are comfortable with, then you end up shutting any meaningful discourse up.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Subscribe.
So that tells us, between the two gentlemen, that tells us who we are talking to. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm so glad I got to show you that. I think that bake sale was a really cool idea. Again, culture jamming is something that we need to do more of. So it is time for the main event of the evening. So this is the full interview between John Stossel and Adam Carolla. This is from 6 days ago. Let's do it.
What I can do with my mouth.
Adam Carolla is one of the most successful comedians around. His crass humor was controversial when he hosted Loveline and The Man Show. Now he talks more about what's...
Hold on. Does everybody here remember that Jimmy Kimmel was the guy who had a show that always ended with girls jumping on trampolines? I just want to make sure we remember that's the same guy who's all super woke and whatever now. If you're under, if you're not old enough, they brought back the Man Show with Rogan and Doug Stanhope, but the original Man Show was Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel.
In the news.
If AOC was fat and in her 60s, would anyone listen to another thing she ever said?
I don't think so. But he's saying that makes some people very angry.
You don't know anything.
Carolla says he doesn't care when people get upset. We recently posted a short video with him, but he has much more to say. So here's our full interview. You're a busy guy. You host 5 podcasts, now a new book. Everything reminds me of something. Advice, answers, but no apologies. Why is that important?
Well, I realize that apologizing just leads to more apologizing. It used to lead to an end. So, back in the day, you remember, let's say the year 2000, if somebody got slapped.
Hey, we got Divine and Rod in the building. Bah, 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 bah. I want to shout out specifically Divine and Rod. I really, really appreciate not one video gets posted on my channel where I don't get a comment from Divine and Rod. If all of you guys did that, we would have thousands of subscribers by now. I thank you so much, brother. That it leaving me speechless. Let's not get mushy, but thank you. Byron says they both started at K-Rock in LA in the mornings on the Kevin Bean show. So I'm from Jersey, and I think K-Rock was syndicated nationwide, right? But so I'm not sure who. I'm not sure about the Kevin Bean show. I do remember him being a frequent guest on Opie and Anthony, even though I wasn't really listening to that. That's what I knew. That's where I knew him from. Aside from the Man Show, but yeah, I mean, this guy was all over. And the fact that do we still have this one up? Yeah, the fact that a lot of people don't even know who he is just goes to show you. Even though he's on Fox News all the fucking time, it just goes to show you what the media can do with who they like and who they don't.
Act on the wrist and got caught, their hand in the cookie jar, then they would just go out and issue an apology, and then their life would return to normal. That no longer works. You apologize, and then they fire you. That's how it works. So everyone who apologizes now is a fool, because you're going to get fired or canceled.
Headline reading: Adam Carolla vows, I'm not effing apologizing.
Anyway, you will then also have a target, which is you will fall into the group of people who apologize.
You will fall into the group of people who will apologize. Now, that may not have meant much a couple years ago, but now we know exactly what that means. That means that they see you as somebody they can take down. They don't care about your apology. They rarely even care about your initial offense. They just care about having power over you.
See, the people who want you to apologize, they don't really want you to apologize because they're offended at whatever it is you said. They just want dominion over you. So they don't really care what you said. Think about how many white people are outraged over something somebody said about the Latin community or the Asian community or the Black communities.
Excuse me, sir. It's the Latinx community. The Latinx community. It's racist.
It's not even their community. They're not really outraged. They want you to apologize because they want dominion over you. And once you apologize, they just keep coming back like a stray cat, and you put a saucer of milk out on the back porch.
And I would tell you if I was like, oh yeah, I did hear him say this before. And obviously, like I told you guys, I do skip through things to make sure it's something that will be a good show. But I didn't hear him say that. And the right after I said it, he said the exact same thing. Byron says, "You're welcome, brother. It is well deserved." Oh, thank you. Kevin and Bean was before all that. I grew up about 3 miles from Adam, the San Fernando Valley. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, brother. I really, really appreciate that. And speaking of a great supporter, Indie Film says, same Latin anything is extremely offensive and racist. Why would you use the name of colonizers to identify the indigenous people of South America? Just flipping their logic right back on its head. How long can these obviously nonsensical ideas and sentiments persist? I think as long as we let them, as long as we don't stand up to them, as long as we don't call them out. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. I always go to live chat as well, but on the top of the chat thing where it says top chat, if you click that, you can go to live chat. It'll show you all the. I don't know why it does that. Like on a bigger channel, it makes sense, but like it's just us. So I guess that means I'm making it. But yeah, you can just hit live chat and it'll show you everything. Yeah, exactly.
If you let them know you don't apologize, they immediately leave you alone. So no one asks me for an apology because I've made it clear I don't apologize, and they won't ask Dave Chappelle to apologize.
Yep.
Once you make it clear, then that's that.
What do they want you to apologize for?
Well, it
For being a white male.
could be anything you've said regarding any number of issues, cultural, political, whatever. It just, whatever's new. It could be George Floyd, could be January 6th, could be something about the transgender community.
I'll give you a couple specifics. You said you think men are funnier than women.
Well, that's a very good point. Now, let me explain that one. And let me explain how the media works. I did an interview for one of my books about 13 years ago. And they said at the very end of the interview, who's funnier, men or women? And I said,
I remember this.
well, if I have to pick, because I don't like when people give answers where people go, both, equal, everything is equal, which would statistically be almost impossible. Men and women are exactly equally.
Hey, we got just a cog in the fuckery in the building. What's going on, girl? So it's all about apologizing for existing these days. Yep. If you are white and or a male, you owe an entire, not even population, but all of their ancestors and all the people in every other, just everyone who has ever existed, anything that's ever happened to them is your fault.
Funny. So I said, men are funnier, but Sarah Silverman, who I actually did a show with last night, and
that's what she said.
Kathy Griffin
who's now banned from Twitter.
Funnier than any guy who went to my high school.
So that's interesting that he chooses specifically those two very liberal women to say, hey, they are funny than any guy that went to my high school. That shows that he's not trying to play sides. He's not trying to, just be on the right side. He's giving his genuine opinion, and it's refreshing. It's refreshing because sometimes, yeah, it agrees with the political stance that you have, but if that's not the reason, it makes it more refreshing, in my opinion. Texas, they're going to make Asians and Indians apologize soon. Oh, hell no. I'm a POC. I'm a BIPOC. Y'all can't take that from me. Asians and Indians are too successful. I mean, shit, not me.
So I would
y'all can help with that.
Say men overall, it has to do with trying to attract women. It's men will do anything to have sex, and a sense of humor on a man attracts women.
Does it though? Maybe when you're gigantic, then yes, it helps.
Versus a sense of humor on a woman doesn't attract men in the kind of numbers that we're talking about here. So I said men, but I know many women that are funnier than any guy I grew up with. And then they just made that. It went to men are funnier than women, and then it morphed into women aren't funny. That's what the headline was.
And showing the BuzzFeed article, Adam Carolla thinks women aren't funny. After what he just explained was that, well, if you're forcing me to choose, what? Stossel said, only thing we can apologize for is that we didn't allow parents to beat the Karen out of their kids, but instead introducing the special snowflake pedagogy. I'm not necessarily in favor of hitting children, but I definitely agree that millennial or boomer and Gen X parents of millennials were too soft. Like you said, a participation trophy, helicopter parenting, all that stuff was very clearly not good. Yeah. Damn hippies! Doug said they just canceled Mia, MIA? I don't know who that is. For tweeting something positive about Alex Jones. Come on, Elon. Thought you were on top of this. Yeah, I mean, it's What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Adam Carolla says women aren't funny. And now that's just, that's how it is. There's good people on both sides. That's basically how that turned out.
He said, if AOC were fat and in her 60s, no one would listen to her.
That's true. That's 100% true.
Facts.
It is. And you get castigated for that.
Who are you to judge political issues? You don't know.
A dude with eyes who travels around the country, maybe the world, probably, and talks to people for a living. Just saying, Jake.
Anything.
It's very predatory and creepy.
He projects his sexism onto others. He thinks the only reason I would care is because she's hot.
These talk shows.
I love how Stossel picked 2 TYT clips and then a Sam Cedar clip, because those are the worst type of people. Those are the worst type of people. Doug said she did that song. All I want to do is take your money. Yeah, who was it? I'm high like, I'm fly like paper. I'm high like planes. That one. Yeah, exactly. But damn, MIA. That's bringing me back, yo. That was a college banger. Oh yeah. I can't even. I have to, unless they really do something big in relation to their own stupidity. I can't even cover them. Exactly. I can't even cover them anymore because they are a parody of themselves. Like, there's nothing for me to add. It's just like, see how stupid that was? See how stupid that was? See how stupid that was? And so, I mean, it's maybe if I was a little bit better at the particulars of their ideology, then I'd be that would be a gold mine of content. But I am so far. Got him. It's just so far away from the type of content that I would ever seriously engage with. Not that because they disagree with me, or rather I disagree with them, but because they're just a parody of a once respectable. Yeah, they were respectable. A once respectable news organization.
Saying that's so sexist, but it's just true. And because she speaks well, she doesn't go like most of the politicians do.
Yes, she's skilled and she has an aesthetic and she's young and she's very appealing.
I'd stick it to her.
And if she was
and Stossel isn't joking. This is a legitimate thing that happened. Like, didn't somebody pay like millions of dollars? Crazy.
60.
But of course, the art world is just a money laundering scheme for elites.
And husky and from Minnesota. Nobody would listen to a word she ever said because she sounds like an idiot. She says insane things, and she would be labeled as a fat old kook. But she's very pretty and she has beautiful eyes, and people are dumb and they listen to her. Now, people get angry at me, but I'm simply stating the
facts,
the truth, and it's also the truth as they know it. They know it.
Ooh, the truth as they know it. They know it's true. Why else would they get so upset? Why else would they get so upset? If you're just farting in the wind, then it's nothing. But when you hit on a nerve and you tell the truth and they know it's the truth, whoo-wee. Doug says they're just so unhappy. I feel like watching them, I can tell they literally hate every moment of their work. Or not just their work, their lives. They've convinced themselves that they live in this time era country, which is horrible to them, and that nobody else can see it. And they're, despite living in the very luxurious elite lives that they do, that they are being brought down, and they're on the front lines fighting this battle. And like, nah, bro, it ain't even like that. They pretend to agree with each other. They're miserable sellouts with zero principles. I mean, yeah.
It's true. Otherwise, they wouldn't get so angry.
See?
They get angry because they know it's true, not because I know it's true.
When they come after you, you say, you don't care. And you really don't care?
No, I don't care because I can't control it. I can control what I say. I can't control how they react to what I say.
Mm-hmm.
So I can control what I say, and that's all I can control. I don't really have a choice as to what I say. It has to be the truth all the time. That's it. I'm a comedian. It's a sacred oath I took. It's what I do. I used to be a carpenter. I could go back, the day I stopped speaking my mind, I will go back to swinging a hammer.
And that is something that will make you cancel proof, even as a non-celebrity or a mid-tier celebrity. If you start a YouTube channel or you get popular on TikTok or whatever, having something else to do. I would be very upset if, I got to a place where I was sustaining myself with this channel, with this content, and then it got nuked for whatever reason. That would be a huge blow to just how I want to live my life in general. However, that would not cripple me to the point where I wouldn't be able to live a life. I have other skills. Even just right now, just the dog training thing, I don't think people are going to stop buying dogs. I was a waiter server for years, so I could get it. There's restaurants everywhere. People ain't gonna stop eating. So make sure that even if you're gonna go into this realm of being a personality and depending on companies like YouTube or the Hollywood machine for money, that because it's so fickle, that you have something else to do. And he's just like, hey, I'll just go fucking back to building shit. Doug says, I don't think they even believe their own BS. They're just trying to convince themselves daily, but they know it's just a job to them. Just money. They are sold out. I don't know, man. I don't know. I disagree with you. The fact that their numbers show that they have they have something like 5 million subscribers, and they barely get they barely get or excuse me, they get 5 million subscribers, and they barely get 100,000 views on a video. They can see that people are not the same people like myself, who at one time were subscribed to them and watched them, that those people are no longer watching. So I think if it was all about the money, then it would be you would see a lot more widely applicable messages. They definitely have their base, but I think they have become so diluted. I think they drank the Kool-Aid, and there's enough of that base to keep them going, to think that, oh, we're the little guys. When we, carry out the same messages as the government, but we're the little guys. We're the underdogs. I really think that is what they think of themselves.
I doubt that will happen. But I'm still stuck on you saying you don't care, because I care. But part of it's just habit, because when I worked for NBC and ABC and Fox,
he's like, let me just show a picture of my good hair.
Pissed off the wrong group.
That's a great news mustache.
I would have been fired. And now I have my own thing, these videos, and I can't be fired. But I still cringe at the thought of being portrayed as a racist or sexist in the general media. And
I think that notion, I have no boss, I can't be fired, nobody can stop me. But he didn't say in the general public. He said the general media. I don't want them, the general media, to think of me as a sexist, racist, whatever. And I mean, I understand that notion. Obviously, nobody wants to be thought of as one of these things. But the fact is that older people have a different understanding and different view of legacy media. And it seems like I don't know. It's just like, why do you care? Because as a small YouTuber, I get a lot of nasty comments from strangers who usually are commenting on shorts, who have never even stopped by the live stream. But I understand that's part of the game. And no, I don't care if somebody, somebody commented on a short that, oh, you're more like the Indian Mary. And I was like, oh yeah, because I something about getting fucked and started a religion or something and lied to God or something like that. I said something along those lines, and the dude laughed. And he's like, oh, actually, I kind of liked it. I was just being a dick. Yeah, I know. I'm good at this. I'm fun. And so I was like, yo, come on through. These people are make those types of comments because they want attention, and I'll give it to you. Show up, comment, you got that attention. And I don't know. I think that's just a boomer mentality that, like, oh, the media. Like, who cares? Nobody watches the media.
And it looks like you don't. It just rolls off you.
Well, there's a couple things. One is I care to the extent that if you woke me up on any given morning and said, would you rather Twitter be saying bad things about you or nothing about you? I would always say nothing. Like, I'm a human being.
I disagree. I'd rather be getting roasted on Twitter at this point in my career.
I think what we're talking about, and maybe we can break it down, is there's a personal kind of care and a professional kind of care.
Oh my God. Wait, his niece? Or you mean like Anna? I don't think that's his niece. I don't think they're related. But if that's, oh my God, Michael Bluth and Lindsay. Oh, that's a good one. Shout out to Arrested Development.
The professional kind of care is I'm going to get fired.
Doug, I'm so glad you're here.
Or deplatform, or lose sponsorship, or money will be withheld from me because of something I said. That's a professional kind of care.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a personal kind of care. Hey, people.
That's a really good distinction. That is a very good distinction. That I care in the sense that I want to make money. I care in the sense that it affects my livelihood. But do I care emotionally? Am I being kept up at night? That more of Job. Oh yeah. He's like a mix of Job and Buster. Because Michael Bluth, he kind of messes up here and there, but he is the one holding the Bluths together. So I'm gonna go with indie film. We got Job and Lindsay on the biggest liberal YouTube channel there is.
People are just out there saying you're a bad person and misinterpreting what you said and so on and so forth. And I have essentially removed myself from the professional caring through, writing my own books and doing my own stand-up and doing my own podcasts and stuff. I make documentaries that are never allowed to get into.
Hey, that's Dennis Prager.
Sundance. And
ooh, we might have to check that one out. Where is that? Would you guys be interested in that? Dennis Prager and Adam Carolla?
That hurts me professionally. But, by and large, I'm able to navigate life professionally, so I don't care. Personally, I care, but I think it's a matter of degree. I have a twin boy girl, son and daughter. They're both 16. My daughter cares.
Damn. Think about. So if they're 16, this is from last week, and we saw that clip of him on CNN 12 years ago talking about how different boys and girls are. That means, they were toddlers. They were 5 years old. And at that time, it was very clear, as it always has been, boys and girls are different. It's, oh my God, it's so crazy. No safe spaces. Hood stuff or good stuff? Gotcha. I was like, what is it? What does that mean?
Cares a lot more what people think of her than my son does. My son cares to some degree. My daughter cares a lot. And I think that's just built in. And I just happen to be wired not to care as long as I'm right. If I said no one would listen to AOC if she was fat and 60 from Minnesota, if I know I'm 100% right, then I'm done with the process. You will then say whatever you want to say about me regarding that. I've been correct. I've been the person that said the earth is round. And I could have 1,000 people in an auditorium screaming the earth is flat, and I don't care because I happen to be correct. And then what about the person that said the earth is round and everyone around them said it was flat?
Oh, that wasn't Galileo.
Should they not say it? Should they care what people think? How would that person navigate?
Yeah. I mean, this is precisely the type of experience that you have as a that's yes. Yep. Indie film, I don't know if you know who Hassan is, but Hassan is definitely Job. Yeah, Hassan is Job, Jank is Buster, and Anna is Lindsay. We got to make that into a shirt. Yeah, right, Dennis. You can't have morality without religion. Prager. And I mean, hey, that's pretty much every conservative Republican. That's all of them. One fight at a time. Let's get rid of the wokeness, and then we'll get rid of the religion. We might have to. That's another pendulum that might be swinging. But again, what did he say? Yeah, the notion of having ideas that are unpopular, and especially the idea that everybody agrees on this thing, but they don't really know, because the reason they agree on this thing is because they haven't looked into it. When you know that it really is this thing, because you have looked into it. But because there's so many of these people, it's easy for them all to get together and make you feel like nothing. And so he's saying, should they not say it? Of course. You have to stand up for what you believe in. You cannot comply your way out of tyranny. Silence, sure as shit, is not violence, because it is the opposite. It is doing nothing. George Sr. George Sr. or what's the other one? What's his brother? Possibly. Make your arguments. Why? What? So we'll continue the Arrested Development and Young Turks in the chat, but I want full arguments. Who is who, and why are they that person? If Jank is George Sr., then why? That's the conversation I want to have. Byron said, "There's nothing more rewarding than telling people the Earth is flat, and on the back of a space turtle happily swimming through the universe."
Should they care what people think?
So let's back this up.
People in an auditorium screaming the earth is flat, and I don't care because I happen to be correct. And then what about the person that said the earth is round and everyone around them said it was flat?
So Shazam, or not Shazam, Kazam was this is the biggest Mandela effect one. It's Kazam with Shaq, and what was the Sinbad was I gotta look this up now. Mandela effect. Shazam. Yeah, it was Shazam. So Shazam was the Sinbad movie, and Kazam was the Shaq movie, and I definitely saw that shit. Oh, so this is the one. This is the one that's supposed to be fake, right? Let's see what this is.
What are you doing? Dad could have thrown out all of Mom's stuff. He just could have. James, there's got to be something he forgot here. Something real. We can remember her by. Hey, we have our memories. They're real. No one can take that from us. Yeah, clean this up. Can you imagine if Dad saw this mess?
Really hot, darling.
Bless you.
You sure? You're sure, Doug? All right.
What is...
This is gonna get claimed.
Man, it feels good to get out that thing. Woo! Got crapped up in there. Took you long enough.
You sure it wasn't Sinbad?
Tina?
That looks like Sinbad to me. That looks like Sinbad to me. I'm just saying. I don't know basketball that well, but I don't think that's Shaq.
Wait, y'all are not Tina. Wait. Where you going? I just got here.
So when you say the Mandela effect is not real, there is a there's a notion that no, there is no glitch, but the realities that we understand. Like, I definitely, when I was reading the Berenstain Bears as a kid, I don't know, but okay, but it's still, so you're telling me, are you telling me that after millennials grew up and started talking about this movie, they went back in time and filmed Shazam? I don't even know what the claim you're making is. You said it doesn't. You said it didn't exist. We just watched a clip from it. So unless you're suggesting that was made later and they de-aged Shaq and all of that stuff, that is real footage from the 90s. Maybe it didn't make it to market, but that doesn't mean that it didn't exist. There's plenty of straight to VHS movies. And so then what is that footage? What is that footage? Deep fake. Okay, but it's still a thing. The argument is that, no, there was no such thing as Shazam with Sinbad. You're confusing that with Kazam with Shaq, which is a different thing. Yeah. And so the argument is that people are replacing that in their minds the same way. So, okay, so the Mandela effect is, I was bringing up that the Berenstain Bears. I used to read those books all the time as a kid, but it was written, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, then the font that they use, the font that they use on the books is not necessarily the easiest to read if you're not paying attention. So open. So like if you're just watching, if you're just come on. If you're just looking at this, then it's very easy to, not notice that is an A rather than an E. The Berenstain Bears. I always just call it the Berenstain Bears. But clearly, it's not. And if we go back, all of these, A. But again, you see how, like with most of these, this one I definitely had. I remember this one specifically. And so when you're a kid and you're looking at this, you're looking at the pictures, you're looking at all this. And so whether it's up here or up here, you're not really paying attention to it. And so when I found out that it was Berenstain and not Berenstein, I was like, no way, really? But I just chalked that up to like, oh, okay, I guess I wasn't paying attention to that. But there's so many other things, and they named it the Mandela effect. Because again, to answer the question of what is it, it is the phenomenon that there's two different realities, and one thing, some people remember it one way, and other people remember it another way. And so I remember the Berenstain Bears, but that one, not a big deal. The reason they call it the Mandela effect is because there's a large contingency of people who believe that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 80s, and that just didn't happen. But that's a widespread belief, or at least it was before the Mandela effect was a little bit more prominent. So yeah, maybe not fully understanding what's being said. So I thought the argument was that there was a glitch in the Matrix and Sinbad was added to our collective memories. Yeah, or Shaq was added. Yeah, that is what it is that there's the mechanism of how some of us only remember one movie and some of us only remember the other movie. That would be a glitch in the Matrix, so to speak. Sinbad was the real movie, and the Matrix replaced it with Shaq, pretty much. So everyone who thinks they remember Kazam with Shaq had their memory erased of Sinbad or replaced with Shaq. So no, everybody who thinks they everybody who remembers Kazam with Shaq saw Kazam with Shaq. But there's also other people like myself who saw Shazam with Sinbad. And yeah, I'm with Trey. I remember both of them. I never knew that there was a I remember the part of the movie where his dad's working in a club and he's got to go up the stairs and what, like, I remember both movies. But there's other things where only one thing can be true, and a lot of people get it wrong only on two different tracks. It's not like some people think Mandela died here, some people think Mandela died there, some people think it's just a lot of people have a specific memory of you having trouble over there, Morty? Getting comfortable? A lot of people have a specific memory of something that did not happen, and it's collective. So it's a weird phenomenon. And we don't have a great understanding of what it actually is and why it happens, but it happens. Byron said, my younger siblings had those books, and it was definitely Steen. Was it though? Especially the fact of English speakers' pronunciation of Steen or Stein. Yeah, I never would have, like, before I had heard about this, the whole Mandela thing, if you had told me that it was Berenstain, I'd be like, no, what? And then you would have to Google it, and I'd be like, yo, this is all fake. But that's exactly what it is. It's one of the more conspiratorial explanations is going to the glitch in the Matrix thing, is that there is a different timeline, something that happened, and timeline split or something like that. I don't know. Maybe we should go into that for another show. But point being, getting back to the video at hand, is that when you understand that a lot of people can know the wrong thing, then it is very easy to fall in line with that. It's very easy to assume, oh, I must be wrong. Can't everybody be wrong? It must be me. But as we've seen so many times, that's not necessarily the case. So that person, as Carolla was asking, should they just not say anything? No, say something. Because then if you're wrong, somebody will correct you. And if you're right, somebody will back you up. But they didn't have a TV show. But didn't they have a TV show where they pronounced it Steen? Definitely not. I definitely not. I definitely would. Okay, no, I misread that as Stein. So they definitely didn't pronounce it Stein. But so Steen and Stain sound so very similar that if you're not accentuating that part of the word, and you're not, and as a listener, you're not paying attention, like, which one am I saying? Berenstain. Did I say the Steen or the Stain just now?
Should they not say it? Should they care what people think? How would that person navigate life?
Well, I heard you talking on your podcast about some of this, and I too have a son and daughter and similar differences. And one thing you're not allowed to say is that men and women are biologically just different, personality-wise different.
Transphobe!
Yeah. Well, I will. I mean, I don't know what the rules are. The rules change every 5 minutes.
I don't know the rules.
I think the rules are basically put in place to try to knock guys like us off our game because
that's exactly right. The rules don't exist in the sense that they are the rules. The rules are you lose, they win. Those are the rules. This is why trying to deal with this stuff on with logic and rationale and good faith discussion doesn't work. That's not what they're interested in. They're interested in you lose, you're bad, we're good. End of story. Now I don't even have to talk to you. Well, yes, that's the poll. So, well, no, I which one did I mess it up? Oh. Okay. Take two. Which did I say? I'll do it again. The Berenstain Bears. All right. Take two. Which one did I say?
because you say, Latino, and they go, Latinx, and you go, what happened? What did I do wrong? Oh, you screwed up. They're just there to screw people up. So I tend not to
Indeed, I did.
listen.
Just to explain that to the audience who doesn't follow it that closely, this new word is
I misinterpreted the rules. This is a Bill check. How will we reach these kids?
instead of Latina or Latin persons, Latinx, which you're supposed to say, and no Latin person uses it or likes it, but that's the proper term.
Yes, this was dreamt up
Papa.
by white women
Hold on, just remember that bar.
and bequeathed to the Latino community, and they've rejected it, but we don't really care. We'll think for them. It's a very bigoted way to go through life.
That's the bigotry of low expectations. You're not smart enough to understand you're being oppressed by the white man's language, even though it's your language. But I know better than you, so I'm going to dictate to your entire race how you should identify. How would it be the other way around? I just saw a TikTok today about a dude who was, again, culture jamming, trolling, whatever you want to call it. And he was saying, I identify as a man, not a cis man. And all the liberals are like, well, if that's what it means, better. And he trapped them. It's like, so wait a minute. Are you telling me how I have to? Are you telling me how I have to use my gender identity? I thought that was transphobic.
I ran into this more than 20 years ago when I was on 2020, when this was just beginning, I think. And then I did a documentary called Boys and Girls Are Different. And
so boys and girls are different. Men, women, and the sex
some
difference.
of the 2020 producers were outraged by that. And shortly after, I was assigned a story at Brown University where a kid had been suspended for sexual misconduct. And he had had sex with a woman who was intoxicated. And
how dare he?
You can't do
At college, you had sex with a woman and she was drinking? Bury him under the president. Bury him under the president. You know what I mean. Stossel says, whites feeling bad for dictating other folks their lives for a couple of centuries and try to solve it by dictating some more.
Do that because she's not really consenting.
Except she is.
But this woman, and he said consented, she the next morning gave him her phone number. And then weeks later, she accused him of rape. So I went to the campus. I wanted to ask, well, what's the new definition of rape, and have a discussion about it.
I'm just trying to educate myself and other people with me.
But the Women's Studies Department, hearing I was coming, had...
Guess how this is going to go. Let's get to you. Doug says she's blackout drunk and he's blackout drunk. Why isn't she the ARPist? Because she is a woman. She doesn't know. She's lesser than. I thought that isn't that the rules? I thought that women don't have agency. And we need to make sure that they're protected because they're not equal to men. As a man, we have superior intellect, no? As a man, we have more control over the entire world. It's the patriarchy. It is that silly. It is that silly. You can't say it without like the fact that people actually genuinely believe that if they read a transcript of me saying that and didn't understand how sarcastic I was being, they'd be like, "Yeah, this dude's woke."
Labeled me a woman hater for having done this documentary saying we are different. And when I got there, they were screaming, rape is not TV hype.
Rape is not
Oh, come on.
hype.
And I couldn't even ask
I'm trying to, over talk there. R word.
people over the noise.
Can I ask you why you're screaming that?
Rape is not TV hype. Come on, everybody, louder.
She's not even with you.
Eventually one pulled out my mic cord.
That's what she said.
And it was this new culture that the other side should not be allowed to speak.
I believe that they would let the other side speak if they thought they could beat them in a debate.
Wrong. So out of the poll, 75% of you said that I said Berenstain Bears, and I specifically said Berenstain. So going back to who was it? Trey? Yeah. On the TV show, this week on the Berenstain Bears. If you're not listening for it, and you're not reading it, and you know that many people, you have never seen a name Stain, and you're familiar with the mostly Jewish name of Steen or Stein, then it's just gonna filter. That's not gonna be something you're paying attention to. And when they use like the bear voices, oh, welcome back, kids! It's time for the Berenstain Bears. That one was pretty. That was pretty deliberate. There we go. Brain fart for a moment. That was very deliberate. Where I said Berenstain, but even still, if you're not listening, welcome back to the Berenstain Bears.
They don't. They know it.
I missed that. Let's go back.
They would let the other side speak if they thought they could beat them in a debate.
They can't.
Don't. They
can't.
know it.
Yep.
It's not about what you're saying is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like you have points and sides that are indefensible, and you're not going to be able to make your point. And this is something that goes on all the time. I remember I was watching Bill Maher's show a year or so ago.
Before he goes into that, Trey says, as somebody that does not drink, this is my worst fear. I won't even talk to women that when they're if they're already past their second drink. I mean, second drink, maybe you could push that up to 4, but you're right. You're right. I mean, 3. Yeah, I think that's actually, if you're really fearful about that, which you have every reason to be, that's a good number because 3 drinks for a girl. She's a smaller girl. I mean, they could. Interesting. So Stossel says, jokes on you. Steen is pronounced as stain in English. It's not, though, because we're talking about spelling and not pronunciation. Pronunciation was a secondary. The point was that we all remember it being spelled Stein. But good one. Nice try.
I think Adam Schiff was a guest, and he's a politician. He was kind of the tip of the spear of the whole Russian collusion thing, and now he's the tip of the spear with January 6th. And Bill Maher said, look, you come on our show. I see you on CNN every night. I see you on MSNBC every night.
Do you though?
Fine. You're preaching to the choir. Why don't you go on Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity's show? Go on their show and make your point.
Because you would look stupid. Even though that side of legacy media, which is just as bad. Couldn't hack it.
Meaning, hey, Dr. Fauci.
Fuck Dr. Fauci! Who of you out there are drinking? Anybody who is drinking, finish your drink in the name of hating. And I mean hating. Dr. Fauci. Cheers. This man ruined our lives for years. Specifically, if you didn't fall in line. Fuck Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci's thing was,
I am the science.
The only people that are not being vaccinated
are evil people.
Are these right-wing, Fox-watching Trump supporters. Well, then...
Don't watch Fox. Don't support Trump.
Go on Tucker Carlson, Fauci, and make your point to the people who need to hear your point. Don't go back on to MSNBC where everyone is triple vax. Go make it there.
And of course, we know, as he had just said, why he didn't do that. Because as we saw with the Senate hearings with Rand Paul, he got Rand Paul the fuck over.
He doesn't go there because he knows he'd get pushback there and he'd probably get beaten up there. But Bill Maher said to Adam Schiff, I wish you would go on Hannity. I wish they would let you on Hannity. And he muttered under his breath, he'd been invited many times.
I was going to say, let you? I'm pretty sure that somebody of Adam Schiff's stature, and I'm not too familiar with him, but I know his name. So, in liberal politics, there's got to be somebody.
But he won't go.
Been invited many times, but won't go. This is exactly the same thing that Tim Pool talks about all the time. Everybody, they'll always get super chats. Oh, bring this leftist on. Bring that leftist on. And sometimes it's a matter of, like, okay, I have a show. They have a show. I can't ask somebody not to do their show to do my show. But people, I think it was specifically Hassan, who got invitations to go on Timcast and would say, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then privately be like, no, I'm not doing that. Why do you think that is? Because when he's sitting in his room with his audience, he can say the dumbest shit and nobody's going to check him. And if they do, he bans them. So he's just got a literal echo chamber. Literally, it's a chamber on the screen that echoes exactly what he wants them to say. Byron said, I care not what a woman's BAC level is, as long as it doesn't inhibit sandwich making and laundry skills. Also, as far as Fauci goes, never trust someone whose name is I cough backwards. Oh my God. How have I never heard that? That is a miss. I wish somebody had told me that during the lockdowns.
Over there, because Hannity would probably destroy him. And then there's this thing.
And again, it's not like Hannity is the top tier of political debate. But yes, he would destroy Fauci.
Where it's like, well, I can't go on there because I won't be treated fairly.
Oh,
what do you mean treated fairly?
Poor baby.
How could you treat me in this interview? You could say whatever you wanted, John, but I would have the right to give you my point, defend my position. You could have been outraged over my AOC declaration. And I would have went, all right, sorry you're outraged, but I stand by what I was saying. And I think if you're intellectually honest, or I gave you 2 beers, you would agree with me.
And that's another point of being treated fairly. what does being treated fairly mean to you? Being given the opportunity to say your piece, to say what it is that you think, to express and explain your positions. You don't think that even as slimy as corporate news is, that as a front-facing interview, that they would not allow you to speak? What? Even so, if your ideas are that much better, then you don't need to be treated fairly in order to get your message across. And more importantly, perhaps, is that if you are being treated unfairly, that will give you more credence in the argument. You ever watch a debate where one person maybe is not, the best, but, they're having the debate in good faith, and the other person is just like being a jackass? Which person do you typically go to? I haven't even talked about what they're talking about, how much they know. If somebody is acting a certain way and coming to an argument in bad faith, that's a red flag for whatever it is they're talking about. Doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong, but it certainly opens the door for you to win over the audience. Driver said also, speaking from experience, never date a woman named Natasha because that's Satan backwards. Well, I do not know what to say to that.
It is a new thing in the media not to talk to the other side. All my career, we would have confrontations, and we'd learn from that. And this was even true, I found, at Fox. I wanted to talk about legalizing drugs, and I'd go on Hannity once, and then he didn't want to do it again. Everybody wants people who they can just totally mock, or people who agree with them.
Well, I agree with you as somebody who's, debated a few people. When you're going to a bar, you want to sit next to a guy who's a Steelers fan. If you're a Steelers fan, it's a better, more enjoyable afternoon. That's why they have Steelers bars and Patriots bars. They don't have Steeler Patriots bars where it's 50-50. You go in there, you put your jersey on, everyone cheers, and you're welcome. And
I real quick, just a short aside that doesn't really have much to do with this, the conversation itself, but I really enjoy. I've noticed a lot over time that at first I thought it was just, I thought it was like my group of friends in high school. Then I saw it start to ripple out a little bit more from where I grew up. That the intermingling of different groups in my my town specifically, I think was much higher. Hey, we got Alex Pickers in the building, hitting that like button. Thank you, sir. Pleasure to have you here. We are talking with John Stossel and Adam Carolla. But yeah, my school was never as cliquey as you see in like the teen movies, and it really showed, and I kept seeing it further and further and further, and like our local pub is a meeting place for everybody, and they put all the games on, and I don't know how. I think that's not uncommon. I think you would either do it that way or be a bar for a specific team. But really cool to just be able to spend a Sunday. I'm not a huge football fan anymore, but when I was, Sunday by noon, you head to the pub and you're there until the end of the late game, and you're watching with a Patriots fan and a Jets fan and a Steelers fan and a Falcons fan and all that shit. What happened to that? I wanted to get to Any Film said liberals can be intellectually honest. The left cannot. So I would say I would slightly I would slightly tweak that. Oh, Seditionalist gotta go. Thank you so much for hanging out, buddy. I really appreciate it. You have a great one. Come back Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Have a good night, buddy. But I would say leftists, because I think the left is a relative term that is left of center. So you can be barely left and still be on the left. But a leftist speaks more to an ideological position, where being liberal is a much more amorphous term that can apply in different ways in different contexts. So if we go with that, liberals can be intellectually honest. The leftists cannot. I would love to see Bill Maher have shift on and talk about the 20 plus times he said they absolutely had evidence on Trump, including with Russia. Well, whoa, hold on. You know they wouldn't do that. Because Bill is a leftist. He's a leftist, and he is very much a corporate establishment leftist. But he's not very liberal, not anymore. Once that TDS comes in, then like Prager went on to the Young Turks. I bet they'll never go on his show. Of course not. And yeah, we did. We covered that whole interview. We covered that. It was 2 or 3 parts. We covered that whole thing. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out.
I get it. That's a human wiring.
I forget what they're talking about.
50. You go in there, you put your jersey on, everyone cheers, and you're welcome. And I get it. That's a human wiring. Who I would want to go out to dinner with people I agree with more so than I would want to go out to dinner. But occasionally, and it's part of your job, you have to invite somebody over from the Patriots bar to sit next to you and watch the game, and you can have a robust debate on.
This is exactly what I did to, I mean, among other things, that allowed me to feel like I could do this, what I'm doing right now. Is that when a long time, I didn't really discuss religion or anything like that with my family because it was a very touchy topic. They're very religious. I'm very not. And they were, okay with me being an adult and having my own positions, but they didn't want me challenging them. And I didn't necessarily want to challenge them as much as I wanted them to understand who I am and what I stand for, where I come from, all those things. My parents, my family. But it's easier said than done. And talking, using the analogy of bringing a Patriots fan into the Jets bar, this is where I go back to using the atheist experience, that show, where I've told you guys many times, I have the playlist on this channel. Go check it out, scroll through it, click on 2 or 3 videos, just watch them. And I think I'm going to do a show about that soon. But I know that you guys don't love the religious stuff, so I won't do it too much. But again, it's a call-in show based on 2 atheists, and you call in and you tell them, what do you believe and why? And by saying the playlist that I have, it was a good example of people who had similar beliefs to my dad, but different. And so when the atheists on the show would attack the beliefs of the caller, unlike when I would attack the beliefs of my dad, because it wasn't as personal, he was able to understand the logic of it a lot better. And of course, he's still religious. But like I said, it was never about convincing him to not believe anymore. It was about him understanding who I am as a person. And so definitely, inviting people from the other team, you got to do it.
Who's the better team?
Well, I wish we could have more of that. Let's shift gears a little bit, talk about regulation. You worked in construction, as you mentioned.
I was a carpenter a long time before I was a comedian. The first part of my life I spent in construction, and I did it every day.
All right, well, hopefully Spike won't take,
that
thingy. I'm thinking, I want to say copyright.
And
sorry.
That woke you up about government and government keeping us safe?
Yes, to a certain degree. I mean, pulling the permit process in Los Angeles is, as you can imagine, insane. It's kind of...
Wait a minute. are you telling me you are telling me that getting some type of government license in California is not easy? No.
It's almost stifling, I guess. I went out to dinner with Suzanne Summers and her husband Alan a couple of weeks ago.
Shit, they're old. Holy shit.
And they lived in Malibu their whole life, and they love Malibu. And as a matter of fact, I met them in Malibu because they returned to Malibu, but they live in Palm
Say Malibu one more time.
Springs now. And I said, why'd you leave Malibu?
God damn it!
During the big fire a few years ago, our house burned to the ground. And I said, okay, so why not rebuild and stay in Malibu? And they said, oh, the Coastal Commission, the permitting process, we're
AKA the government.
too old. It takes years just in permitting. And then they have to put it to a community vote, and it's stifling. And I don't think people understand that and how it affects the community. We have a housing crisis. There's not enough homes. The homes are too expensive, right? Because we don't let people build complexes and units. It's so stifling. It's bizarre to me that California is the most regulated state. California is supposed to be the let your freak flag fly state. Like, come here and do anything.
Do anything that we approve of.
Say to everyone, if you live in Santa Monica in a rent-controlled apartment, fine, love the government. But buy a home and attempt to add a master bedroom to it and pull a permit in Santa Monica.
That is actually, like, California or anywhere else, that was one of the biggest things that, especially as I've been going to a lot of people's homes for my job in the last couple of years as a private dog trainer, and seeing how many of my clients are perpetually having worked on their home. Like I own this place, but it's a condo. There's an association. And so if anything, breaks or whatever, there's people to deal with shit. Yes, I have neighbors right here, but y'all hear me fucking screaming at the top of my lungs at midnight. So, and I've asked my neighbors, they don't hear. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for me at this stage. I do very much miss having space to play drums. I do eventually want to buy a plot of land and build my own home. I think there's too many, I'm getting off a little bit of a tangent, but there's too many things about homes where they can pull you in and you don't necessarily understand the functionality or the lack thereof until you're living. And so I want to build my own home, and I don't need some giant mansion. I want a small, functional home on a decent plot of land just to be away from people so that it's quiet and there's nobody around to fuck with me. That's it. Ryan said permits in LA are ridiculous. Workman's comp is so criminal, their offices are just like banks. Bulletproof glass and all. Color me surprised.
And then tell me what you think of the government.
I hate it.
But listen to this little thought experiment. Carroll Shelby, the great car racer, the man who invented the Shelby Cobra, he is from Texas. He's a Texas guy. He came to Venice Beach, California in 1964 so he could build cars. Could you imagine going from Texas to California, to Venice Beach, California, to start a business where you manufactured something today?
They used to, but no, you're right. Today it goes the other way. And yet people like these rules when you talk about safety rules.
Do they though? The people who don't have to deal with them like these rules. The people who have an ideological reason to back these like those rules. The people who have to deal with them hate them.
And we have a clip from where a regulator from the San Diego County Safety Department says,
all the inspections as mandated by the state are for the safety of the public and the livability of these houses.
Here's the problem with this as it pertains to California or anywhere else. Yes, there are regulations that make sense. If you know, I used to do earthquake rehab. There are earthquakes in California. When you pour concrete, it should have rebar in it, probably number 4 or number 5 rebar spread out at such and such intervals. Because when you see these places, you know, Mexico or Haiti or someplace that have an earthquake and you see the whole place is demolished, that's because their concrete was unreinforced. That's because they don't have, you know, shear anchors and tension anchors and all thread and all the stuff we would use.
Hey, we got Jeremy in the building. How was work, buddy? Glad to see you. Glad you are here. We are going through a conversation between John Stossel and Adam Carolla. Myron says, worked all through LA for decades. High-end residential houses in the 6,500 to 35,000 square foot range. Yet those people want you to eat bugs. You will own nothing, and you'll be happy. Venice Beach, where the debris meets the sea. I like that. Yep, Elon moved Tesla to Texas. That's exactly what Carolla's talking about. Like, can you imagine somebody doing the opposite in this day and age? Of course you wouldn't do that. Of course.
Which is fine. I get it. We should have a certain amount. The question is when do you stop? And we never stop. And I'll use an example of the beach. The beach.
Yeah. It's long and boring. Glad to be home as the weather's turning bad. Interesting interview, it sounds like. Yeah, definitely interesting interview. And yeah, I had to, my car broke down yesterday, this morning. I don't even remember. Time is fleeting. And I gotta show you guys that. I want to show you guys that video of my Uber driver before we finish. But yeah, the like bundling up to deal with, like, okay, I don't know what the weather is outside. Every year it's just such a that's what I gotta move off. I gotta move somewhere further south. It's just winter is awful. It's awful. But I'm glad you are here. Glad you are home. Oh man, you're already getting the snow. Where are you again? I don't remember. Where are you from again?
Beach used to have a sign when you entered the beach, and it said, no fireworks. That was 25 years ago. Okay, fine. Presumably someone could get injured if someone was lighting off fireworks. But then they said no fireworks and no fires. And you went, oh, okay, no cooking, no fires, no fireworks. Then they went no smoking. And you went, well, I don't know why that would hurt anybody. Okay. Then they went no dogs. Then they went no frisbees. Then it's not that no fireworks is a bad idea, like no regulation. No, there should be some. The question is, when do you stop, and do you ever stop? And California never stops. And so if you want to build in California, it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. And that's why Suzanne Summers is in Palm Springs.
And hey, I'm in Massachusetts.
Hold on. I'm the struggle streaming over here. Give me 1 second. Where am I? Okay. So yeah, Missouri. Oh man, getting sleet and snow in Missouri already. God damn, winter is coming. Byron said Elon is quoted as saying they built the Tesla factory in the time it would have taken the permit process in California. Drove by the factory yesterday. Largest building I've ever seen. That is the power of states being able to cater to their constituents. That is exactly, California is a different place than Texas. Texas is a different place than North Dakota. All of these places need to be able to enact what is most appropriate for them. And we can see from the left, not just from the left, but specifically from the left, a push to make everything federal. And of course, federal stuff is largely controlled by places that have a larger stake in Congress because of their size. But we have checks and balances. We have this representative system specifically so that New York City and Chicago and LA can't dictate what society is like for all of us. It's sad that the lefties who want this stuff, they don't see that this is, again, as we've been talking about, the pendulum swinging. Whatever you put into effect is going to be used against you by the opposite party in 4 to 8 years. Can you elaborate on this a little bit more, Any Film? Federalism works? I don't necessarily disagree. I think it depends on what we're talking about. Drew said, yeah, construction permits are outrageously long to wait for out in California, among other places across the country. Not in Texas. Build your business in Texas. Bring manufacturing back to the U.S. with no help from Gavin Newsom.
The beach, and they got a giant picture of a shark. And the regulation doesn't stop here either.
Wait, what did it say? So it says, warning, great white sharks hunt seals in shallow water at this beach. People have been seriously injured and killed by white sharks. Of course they got to be white along this coastline. Okay. So they started with fireworks. I'm not really sure where they're getting at here. They started with saying no fireworks. Then they're, no, I know what federalism is. I'm saying, what are you saying that, okay, federalism is, federalism is all the states competing against themselves. It's a country divided amongst many. Oh, okay. Yeah. So then, yeah, agreed. I was not sure exactly what you meant by it, but so the point, I'm not sure what the point they're trying to make here is, though, that they say, went to the beach. First it was no fireworks, then it was no fires. Now they're warning about sharks. Okay. Definitely agree with that, Jeremy. So the regulation doesn't stop here either.
It brings me to another thing you've said. The media is more harmful than alcohol. The average American would feel somewhat better giving up booze, cigarettes. They'd feel 1,000 times better giving up the news for a week.
And even better giving up the government.
And that is so true, because my colleagues, and I used to do it, we will get more clicks if we scare you. And it's horrible what we do.
Remember the death counter. What was the word that they used? Gangbusters? Let's pull that up. I bet a bunch of you didn't see that. Let's do Project Veritas. CNN death count. If that'll come up. Should be a short one. I think it's this one. Let's see. Let's see. We won't spend too much if I can't find it. But y'all gotta see this if you ain't seen it.
To me, all you're doing is you're padding statistics. You're putting people on that have COVID-19. If they didn't have it, you're making the death rate for New York City a lot higher than it should be.
To be honest with you, all of the death certificates, they're writing COVID on all the death certificates. Whether they had a positive test, whether they didn't. So I think, again, this is my personal opinion. I think like the mayor of our city, they're looking for federal funding, and the more they put COVID on the death certificate, the more they can ask for federal funds. So I think it's
That's wild, Divine Rod.
political.
I had one that was autopsy because he was furious. And apparently, and I don't know who this.
Hold on, this is one I'm looking. Let me do one more, sir. What? Oh, so, yeah. So maybe it's this one. Okay, if it's not this one, we'll move on.
In all of our years in journalism, this is one of the most difficult stories we've ever had to tell. This is one of those stories that you never want to hear or report on because it's so unconscionable. It should never happen in civilized society. Tragically, it does. This story involves a man who is currently engaged and living with his fiancée and her 3 young children, and his sexual fantasies about the eldest daughter, who is in her early teens.
I don't think this is it, but my interest has been piqued, so let's see.
Now, we don't usually report on someone's private sexual fantasies. While we were told a crime is yet to be committed, we couldn't take the chance. Our source is very concerned that he might eventually act out on his fantasies, so we verified the information as best we could and took it to the relevant authorities as quickly as possible. Coming on the heels of last week's arrest of CNN producer John Griffin on multiple counts of trying to elicit unlawful sexual activity with minors, the subject of our story is another CNN producer who had an ongoing relationship with our source for over a decade.
A
When the source
decade.
came to us, we had
A decade. Oh my God! Putting in a decade of work for investigative journalism. Who else is doing that? Anyone said, "Hey CNN, more Rowan deaths in 2021 under Biden post jab than 2020 under Trump pre jab. Yet no death ticker under Biden." I don't remember this. I don't know if I've seen this. But we're in it now. We're in it now. So I don't think this is definitely not what I was looking for, but we're in it now.
some reservations about her history as a former sex worker, which makes her an easy target for anyone who wants to discredit her. But after spending time with her and vetting the photographs, texts, and FaceTime videos she showed us, we felt compelled we had a duty to take action to protect the children who were involved.
And how do you hate this man? Oh, because you don't know anything.
Start off by having a mouth on her. I'm gonna walk up and put my crouch very close to her face. Slowly unzip my zipper.
And as you were getting these text messages,
So the text message says, "So am I getting mother-daughter needs for this help?" Crying, laughing emoji.
Going through your mind.
And then it looks like he sent something and then said, "Go ahead, let it all out." She was wearing very closely cut bottoms at the pool. Could see the outlines of her poom poom. Definitely wanted a picture.
I feel dirty. My name is Jeannie Bonanni. I'm currently a case manager for human trafficking victims as well as domestic violence and sexual assault. I also am the certified recovery specialist for drugs and alcohol in one of our other programs.
And tell us your story. What made you come to Project Veritas?
It was a hard decision to make. I had to, say something about this girl. I was also a victim. I was 13 years old of sexual assault, and hearing the words that he said just, made me want to reach out and help this girl.
What are we looking at here?
So, okay, I thought he was saying that there was one of the journalists was working for 10 years undercover, but it sounds more like she was being mistreated for 10 years and then reached out to Project Veritas. Again, this is just the same.
He sent me a photo of his daughter. It was not pornographic.
Wait. What? He sent a picture of what?
He sent me a photo of his daughter.
His daughter?
It was not pornographic.
Okay.
And I replied, it's your girl's kid, like your girlfriend's kid. She asked me, do you think of her when you're in the shower a little bit? Tell the truth. I said, no, you just turned me on so much. I'm not a kid, And then he's talking about her here saying, what are you going to think about with her is killing me in so many ways. And that's when he sent the picture.
And that's a blur. We blurred that image. But what is the image?
It's a child on a boat, just holding on to the railing of the boat, the ocean.
And that's his fiance's child.
Mhm.
It's not even his child.
Yeah.
And he's talking about his fiance's stepdaughter, her age daughter. She was wearing really closely cut bottoms at the pool. You asked for pictures.
Yeah, so I asked him for pictures because
Okay, so is she a journalist, or she was just doing this on her own and then sent all the information to Veritas? I'm very confused at what her role in all this is.
This is when it started to get, way more deep, saying things on the bottom screen, like way more deep. And I said to myself, I need to get evidence as much as I can to help this case.
So at this point, it seems like you're eliciting.
Fuck that. We ain't using maps. I'll maybe I'm gonna say maps to get around the algorithm, but that's a fucking pedo.
That's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm saying, tell me, because I want him to just dig that hole deeper. And that's exactly what happened. He got excited off this.
It seems like he wants you to be turned on by his repulsive, perverse sexual attraction to this 13, 14-year-old girl.
Usually every time we text, it's always about him wanting to see me and his stepdaughter together. But I do have a recording of him on the phone, and the whole time he's talking about what he wants to do to the daughter.
Sir, I'm done having her now.
Gotcha. Thank you, Uniform.
I'm on her. I'm going to walk up and put my crotch very close to her face. Slowly.
CNN producer.
Sit back, zipper, and just guide your head a little closer. Now I'm just going to have her kiss the head. Finally kiss the head of my and I'm going to put her hand around it so she can feel what that our touch feels like.
If this is how you feel that it's appropriate to interact with a fucking child, I don't know what hope there is for you. I don't know what hope there is for you. There is I'm speechless. Joke of the night, leaving that one up.
And that was just my way to, get him face to face so I can actually have proof of words coming out of his mouth. I know you can't see anything on this one, but the other two, you can see his face, him talking explicitly.
And you did go to the police.
They did not take it serious. They had me in the hallway with my mother. They didn't bring us in a room. He went and asked his supervisor, and they said there's no case here. He wouldn't even look at my phone to show him the evidence.
And as you were getting these text messages, what was going through your mind?
I feel disgusting.
Yep.
I feel dirty.
Now you do say he turns you on. So were you just saying that to kind of go along with it?
Absolutely. This is in the beginning. I believe he started at 10 years. He's never mentioned a child before, and in August he started sending me like little bits at a time, and I kept saying to myself like, what am I doing with this? You know what I mean? Like I'm watching this man talk about his stepdaughter in a sexual way. Sending me photos of his stepdaughter. If I was her mother and I found out my fiance is sending photos of my child and talking about her in a sexual way,
bury him.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to fight until something happens because I don't know this kid. You know what I mean? Like, if he just send it to me and tell me, go ahead, let it all out.
What does he mean? Go ahead, let it all out.
Like he wants me to respond in a sexual way, like, oh, she's so hot, I want to do this and that, and like I'll just like reply with stupid little text, but I'm still replying, and it makes me upset. He sent me a text saying, I love.
So he's saying, I love that she is getting you hot. Oh my God. I want to taste how wet she makes you. And so she trying to, whoa. So this is her texting back. She said, I wish you could, Daddy. And that's when he said she was wearing very closely cut bottoms at the pool. She said, got any pictures? He said, not of that, I wish. And she said, yeah, that would be, okay, I got you, because she's trying to get him to go along with it. Got it. And then he says, none of that, I wish. She says, yeah, that would be pretty awkward to ask her for a couple minutes, LOL. But I wish she did. He said, could see the outlines of her poom poom. Definitely wanted a picture. And we'd fuck thinking about it. Jeremy says, what's bad is how YouTube has taken down and demonetized videos where content creators conduct stings on maps, saying they're harassing and vilifying them unjustly. Unjustly? Unjustly? Nah.
I love that she is getting hot. I want to taste how wet she makes you.
And he's talking about who?
His stepdaughter, who's 14 years old.
Okay. When did you first meet him, and how did you meet him?
I met him about 10 years ago when I was being trafficked. I was on Backpage, and he called to
Jesus.
and I went to the casino, and that's how everything started. And I feel like he thinks he can confide in me with everything because of my past and the things I've been through.
I think you guys are old enough to know what back pages are, but let me know if you don't.
He thinks it's like no big deal telling me, but it's a complete opposite. Like hearing the things that he was saying, reading the things he was saying, even about my daughter. He's asked for things, and it has infuriated
Your daughter?
my daughter.
How old is your daughter?
15. He's asked for nudes of mom and daughter several times.
What?
15-year-old daughter?
Yep. And then other times you say, oh, she's not old enough for mom and daughter pics. She always says mom and daughter pics. And I even have him on.
So, again, with the laughing emojis. So, am I getting mother-daughter nudes for this help? Boy, don't make me paddle you. How's the daughter? And you can do that too. Sony Fellow says, not familiar with Backpage, but I feel like it's a good thing. It's just I don't know if it started as an actual back page of a printed news thing, but it became a website that you could just go and order hookers. So good, bad, depends on who you are.
On camera saying that he said that. If he's talking about this girl, he's talking about my daughter. What other things is he doing? I want this girl to be safe.
We're looking at a text message. Could you tell us what this means?
Couple minutes left on
I'm not
this.
getting mother-daughter nudes for this help. And when he says this help, he sent me money. So he thinks because you sent me money, you're going to get a nude photo of me and my daughter. Are you insane?
Guys, do I even need to say don't do that?
Like I said, it like gradually got bigger.
The more you know.
Bigger. Like I didn't know how to reply or what to do. You know,
it started in August.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. You know, I have a 10-year friendship with this man. You know what I mean? It's not like I just met him, so it's like confusing to me. Like, why would you trust me with this material? And if you're trusting me, who you've only met twice in person, who else are you?
Yeah.
You know,
what else are you
happened
doing?
to him that I don't know about? He talks about how he wants to see her through the crack of the door. While she's getting dressed, help her explore her body for the first time. The first person.
Recently, John.
That's so gross, bro. That's so gross, bro. Like, I'm gonna go out on a limb. Again, we were just talking about censorship. I'm really questioning whether I should say this out loud. But when you are that age, when you are 15, because you are a 15-year-old, then the notion of a girl your age experiencing those things, that falls in line with that. That's not weird for a 15-year-old to find another 15-year-old attractive. But you're a grown-ass man!
Griffin at CNN was charged with engaging in unlawful activity towards underage girls.
Yep.
And you've had conversations with him about this?
Yeah, the day the news broke, my mom sent me a link to it. I asked him if he heard about it. He said he didn't, so I sent him the link. And he was talking about John Griffin saying, you know, what a pervert and, you know, scumbag and all that.
Yeah.
I do that. In my head, I'm thinking, you're doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
going back to Jeffrey Epstein with the human trafficking and how, you know, how long it went before it was, you know, actually exposed.
Our homeboy, not our homeboy, but old boy from CNN was calling somebody else a pervert. Talk about calling the kettle black.
And then, you know, you have John Griffin. You know, that's human trafficking also. That mother brought those children there.
By coming forward, people are going to put a lot of scrutiny on you. Given your profession, it's just people are going to be skeptical. What is your response to people who may not believe you or...
All right, 1 minute left on this one, and we'll get back.
I have been a victim pretty much all my life. I do not want this girl to be a victim of anything. But
All right, I don't fucking want to hear. I mean, yes, you were a victim, but I'm sorry, desensitized to people talking about their victimization. All right, so basically, the reason we got on that detour was because we were talking about, as Carolla is saying, look at what the media did with Rona. We were talking about how they specifically put the death counter on. And Project Veritas caught one of the producers saying, "Of course, yeah, we put the death counter on there, and it gets views. It does gangbusters." He used the word gangbusters, and that it was commodifying and turning literally people's deaths, and not a death of a person, but the amount of deaths into a game. They gamified it. And there's still people who watch CNN who don't think they did anything wrong. All of that shit. It's so sad. All right, let's back this up a little bit. Get in the last 10 minutes and then hit the panel. I am very excited to hear from you guys.
True, because my colleagues and I used to do it. We will get more clicks if we scare you, and it's horrible what we do.
Look at what the media did with COVID, and look what they did vis-a-vis children. So
before he even goes off on that, I want to make sure we all remember that despite the fact that children were not, even really at risk for any of this, we saw the last time we did the TikTok review, that child who was, or was it the TikTok review, or was it the Lives of TikTok thing? Whatever it was, just the trauma of being ignored in a state of genuine despair. This child does not understand what's going on, is genuinely scared, is genuinely uncomfortable, and expressing that, and just being ignored. Then you add on to that the fact that these kids were isolated for 2 years. Yeah, anything was around. Anything to any rookie numbers. You got to get those numbers up. But I am terrified of what we will see from kids who were, let's say, 3 to 16. 3 years old to 16 years old. That entire generation is going to manifest huge problems socially and culturally over the next 2 decades. Mark my fucking words. Clip it, put it up as a short, and you'll be the one who clicked out the prophetic statement from the IndianJesus.
So they convinced all the moms that this thing was dangerous to children.
Which, of course, it wasn't.
And then the moms freaked out the kids, and then they closed the schools down, and they closed the playgrounds down, and they forced these kids to mask. And, my daughter bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. I of course, didn't. I never did, but I tried to tell her. But the media had essentially convinced her that this thing was coming for her. And I talked to her about it the other day, and she said she was screwed up. Like, there is some PTSD because the media convinced us and moms that this was coming for kids. You can't go full pandemic lockdown if you say this is killing old people, fat people, and sick people. You have to include the kids. And that's why we needed to shut the schools down. There is no, imagine you're doing a movie about a pandemic and it only kills the elderly. That doesn't sound like much of a thriller to me. You have to.
Yeah, me neither. That's why we didn't need to shut down the entire world. Byron said all media broadcasts should be required to have a banner on the bottom of the screen stating this opinion is for entertainment purposes only, or simply, this is bullshit. Jeremy said, even though all the mask did was give people breathing problems. Oh, no, Jeremy. That's not all it did. It gave them socially development issues as well. Not just kids. Until you're 25, you're still developing socially in a physiological way. Of course, you continue to develop as a human being after that. But it's right around 25 where the physiological development is really completed in that sense. 3 years old to 16 years old. So what I'm talking about should start in 9 years and continue for another 13. So we'll see that. And I just wanted to show this this text from my dad. And hey, plans for Thanksgiving. My sister's working. My brother and his girl are going to her parents. Mom and I would love to have. I can't read this way. Mom and I would love to have you over for lunch if you're available. And also talking about my birthday. Oh, now I get to celebrate holidays with my family. Now I get to celebrate holidays with my family. I'm turning 33 on the 28th. The last birthday that I celebrated with my family was 28. Now, do I care? In the same way that Carolla was talking about, there's different types of caring. Do I care in the sense that I'm kept up at night because I didn't get to see my family on those holidays? It wasn't great, but I don't have a huge or a great relationship with my family, and I have been hanging out with my dad decently regularly, so not a huge issue. Do I care about the principle of the fact that my own blood, my own family decided that I was not good enough to not only spend Thanksgiving with them, to not only spend Christmas with them, to not only spend the next Thanksgiving with them and the next Christmas with them, but my own fucking birthday? I was 21. Of my college age friends, I was on the older side. So there's only one or two people who were of age when I turned 21. So going out to the bar wasn't really an option because all my friends were underage. And I didn't mind that. I went to my friend's house. My girlfriend at the time, she was there. We were, playing some video games, hanging out. I'm a low-key dude. I was fine with that. But would have been nice. Would have been nice for somebody to do a little something extra. So then when it comes down to, okay, well, I don't really hang out with those people anymore. This is my family. At least I'm invited. Anyone says you can talk about how the jabs don't stop the spread and or infection. That'll be fun dinner conversation. Oh, I've breached that. I have breached that. But again, the reason that I'm invited is because my siblings won't be there. If they were there, well, we might have to have a different conversation. Which Adam? What are you talking about? Adam who?
Scare the kids. So the media used the kids, and they would say things like, well, it's kids, the danger of mortality of COVID is slightly less than the elderly, or they'd use words like a little less or something. They wouldn't say dramatically and statistically insanely less. Like, it really doesn't do anything to kids. People argue with me about this all the time. You show me how many kids died who did not have a pre-existing condition. That's the number I want from the media. They never gave it out. Day one, I was on to them 2 weeks in. You can listen to my podcast.
They're not releasing that shit until 2076. Yeah, Myron said mask-wise. Looks like something's burning. No, maybe I'm going crazy. Mask-wise, trying to date was a nightmare. Met a chick, appeared to be a solid 8. Great hair, eyes, and body. Mask came off. 4.5 at best. You just wouldn't think it could go that wrong in a tiny area. I am a big proponent of small noses. I think a nose can make or break a woman's face. And what was the rally cry? It's got to be off of your nose! The same woman could go from an 8 to a 4.5 just on the nose. Jaron says, my aunt has a third kidney because of PKD. What's PKD? PKD. I don't know what PKD is, but Parkinson's? Yeah, what is PKD? The doctor pushed her to get jabbed and became a fucking recluse. I literally never see her. To this day, she's still terrified to come around. Oh, it's polycystic kidney disease. And so she's afraid of the virus itself. A lot of older people were unnecessarily traumatized and terrified and will carry that and may not have that long. So that might be the rest of their existence. And says the crotch area is a tiny area and a lot could go wrong there. Now, yeah. Nowadays, back then, I mean, whew. Yeah, the doctor put the fear of God in her. That's really sad. Because what can you do? What can you say to somebody who has lived a life and has never seen anything like this before? Can you blame her? Can you? But no, we're the ones who are talking about this. We're the grandma killers. We're the evil ones, right? Keep telling her that she's been brainwashed to literally isolate herself to where she'll die alone. You know, if that was my situation, I would try everything I could to, spend time with her on her terms. Get in a 95, bathe yourself in hand sanitizer, 6 feet, whatever, and just start talking. And let her understand that if at all possible, because again, once you get to a certain age, you kind of just know what you know, and hey, the doctor is the doctor, and what the doctor said, that's what it is. But if there's a chance, it's not going to be about, arguing or insulting her. Not saying that you are, but it's going to be about showing her and leading by example. So I wish you the best of luck with that, because the notion that a woman who has lived a life, whatever life she's lived, and has gotten to, her senior citizen age, and this is the type of mentality that she's going to carry the rest of her life, that is heartbreaking. Yes, definitely maintain contact. She's always been she's always been incredibly left-leaning anyway. So I'm trying to show her things she can't refute to red pill her. Yeah, I mean, and don't a big mistake is trying too hard. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I would for that specifically. Obviously, I don't know the details of your situation, but for that situation, if it's the fact that she's isolating herself, then older people don't need a fucking crew. Like if they have a couple close people in their lives, they have their family, they're good. If you can get to the place where she's comfortable physically spending time with you, I think that, just talking, spending that time, even if you don't change her mind, then you will be the entity that it makes it not matter, because you will be the one spending time with her. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Older you get, the more stuck in our ways we get, the more we brush off the opinions of younger people. This is what the Rono dream was all about. It's very sad. All right, we got a couple minutes here, and then I wanted to show you guys my Uber driver today. I had to get my car serviced, and I hopped in the car, and I was ready to. I thought I was going to do another TikTok review show tonight, so I was ready to go through TikTok and add a bunch to the list. And before I can even get through the first one, this guy's like, "Hey, you want to hear a story?" And it's not the best story, but it was interesting. I can't get within 6 feet of her regardless of a mask. I haven't even hugged her since before the pandemic. But that doesn't matter. You're a bigot for caring about that. How dare you? Remember when it was okay to talk to people like that?
They didn't give the ages of the people who died.
I'm going to back that up just a second. I don't remember exactly.
Who did not have a pre-existing condition. That's the number I want from the media. They never gave it out. Day one, I was on to them 2 weeks in. You can listen to my podcast.
Yup.
They didn't give the ages of the people who died at the very beginning. They never gave the ages, and I immediately got suspicious.
Same. Everybody liked to 60 million people died. Okay. How many of those were under 60? Millions? Okay. Yeah, well, sure. Yeah. How many of those were under 60 and didn't have a comorbidity? I don't know. There's no way to tell. There literally is no way to tell. Because everything was decided to be a Rona death. So we have no idea. Politics has infected everything. And the last bastion of understanding and actual progress, not progressive progress, but actual progress, is out the window if we don't have science. Unfortunately, there's zero scientific data supporting the 6 feet away and very weak data supporting the mask. Yeah, but the media did their job. As Carolla said in the clip we watched earlier, the leftists and the left-wing media are very good at spreading their message. So who are you, even family members, who are you to them when the news is telling them what's really going on? You're just some conspiracy theorist. That's what it is. Like, there's no two ways about it. They've specifically wanted to cut your impact off. And they did.
Because it was a bunch of 90-year-olds.
And for saying this, you get trashed by people who've been your friends.
Or your family.
Howard Stern to Jimmy Kimmel.
He's making fun of people for taking COVID seriously.
Well, first off, what does
what a loser
seriously mean? You know,
so hold on, what did that say? That said, so the tweet said, Howard Stern's making fun of Adam Carolla for the tweet. Turns out the people dying from Rona are old or sick or both. How many of you pussies got played? And who's going to get played the next time? Oh, most of them.
Seriously.
Well, first off, what does seriously mean? You know how many people said to me, I did everything right and I still got it?
Lots. And I still maintain, as anecdotal as this is, every single person that I know who got jabbed got the virus. Every single person I know who didn't get the jab did not get the virus. And most of the people who got it, the jabbed people, got it more than once. I'm not making any claims other than that is my experience, but that absolutely 100% is my experience. I don't know one unjabbed person who got sick. Not one. I'm not saying they're not out there, of course. But I'm just saying anecdotally, from my perspective, not one. And all of the jabbed people. That's not science. But also, what am I supposed to do with that? So Jeremy said, to her credit, she doesn't bash me or consider me a bad person for being on the right, but she definitely insists I'm incorrect, which I belly laugh at to her. Yeah. Jeremy didn't get it, never tested positive, never had or had more than the sniffles. Just saying.
Well, what does that mean then? You did everything right and you got it. I did everything wrong and I didn't get it. So
Adam Carolla was like, well, it would have been worse. It's a good thing I got jabbed. Because imagine, I might be dead right now if I didn't get this thing that gave me. Not even to mention the fact that for people who weren't in the risk category, being old, sick, or both, that arguably the symptoms you would get with a mild case of Rona could be comparable, if not lesser than, the side effects. I'm not talking about the heart stuff. I'm talking about just, you get the shot and then you don't feel well for a couple of days. The normal side effects. Sometimes those would be worse than the Rona symptoms themselves. So if I'm going to get sick anyway, why not just take my chances, get that natural immunity, and we Gucci? And that is scientific.
what shall we do?
We should wring our hands and worry more, I guess, according to them. And these are your friends. Jimmy Kimmel.
Adam doesn't believe in shampoo or soap. He doesn't believe in microbes. Yes, it's disturbing.
That is
what a beta sellout, bitch. You did blackface on the Man Show. And you want to try and fucking grandstand? Oh, yeah. Loud and proud, brother. Loud and proud. I saw, I don't know if it was on Twitter or whatever, a short video of that. Those of us. Yep, absolutely real. And much better than this rush job treatment. I forgot what I was going to say. Don't remember what I was going to say. Let's come back to that.
It's true. I'm not a shampoo. I've never.
Oh, Jimmy Kimmel. If you are somebody who in 2022 takes Jimmy Kimmel more seriously than Adam Carolla on politics, I got a bridge to sell you. I'm not saying Adam Carolla is the bastion of political commentary. I'm saying between those two, who we can see here, we're on the same exact level in terms of their status in society. This was them from the Man Show. Let's get there we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And now you want a grandstand. Get the fuck out of here.
Been a germ guy. I've always believed that you're hurting your immune system if you wiping everything down with Purell is not good for your immune system. I've always believed that. I'm not.
There should be a bowl of dirt at each threshold, and you dig your hands. Not a perfect quote, but who can name that reference?
Allergic to anything, and I never get sick. But I notice everyone around me is allergic to everything and has a bad stomach.
All right, so you take these criticisms as jokes, but one sounded more serious. David Allen Greer told Stern, "You're no longer best friends because you're now a right-wing troll."
Is he there?
Him and I were quite Adam Carolla. Not anymore. What happened? Well, he's a right-wing troll now.
All right, let's see. Yeah, so Jeremy said, after a bit in one of George Carlin's stand-up routines from years ago, I wonder what his take on COVID would be. Were he still alive today? Absolutely. People like George Carlin, Patrice O'Neill, even, older guys like Bill Hicks. If we had those people to cut through the bullshit and be able to deliver the message in a way that is palatable, which is precisely what a god-tier comedian is able to do. Take real issues, not just like jokes and observational humor and what's the deal with peanuts? No, I'm talking about, those types of people. But yeah, Sam Kinison, he definitely would not have been not been on board with this. Fucking bootlicker. No, I think he has a taste for money. I mean, yes, I think you're a bad person for doing what you do for money, but I don't think you're a bad person for wanting money. And I think when we think about, in dating, the idea of the betatization through 1,000 concessions, and where it happens slowly and little bit, you get shit tested. And years go by, and now you've gone from here to here. I think the same thing happened to Jimmy Kimmel. And I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying, I think he started as this, edgy comedian, and he got a gig, and they asked him a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. And then now we have the Jimmy Kimmel we have now. Jeremy said he said he was never worried about getting sick because he hardly, if ever, got sick. Same here. The only times he would wash his hands is if he got shit on them while using the bathroom. Okay, well, I'm not on that, but I agree, and I think personally, this is not scientific. This is anecdotal again. We're going back into the anecdotal, but I very much believe that this pillow is not doing my ass any favors. Hold on. Ugh. I very much believe that those of us who have spent years smoking weed, specifically those who smoke blunts and smoke blunts with other people, there is a level of strength that is provided to your immune system in very small amounts. But think about what a smoke session is. One dude who's a fucking pothead will break down a Dutch or a game or a cigar of sorts. Then put his dirty ass fingers, break up the weed, put it in the thing. Then he's gonna roll it up. And he's gonna lick that up. Then, I'm a pro, so I don't need the outer leaf. But most people will then take the outer leaf and slobber all over it and wrap it around. Then all the people in the smoke sesh will put that in their mouths with their holding it with their fingers, put it in their mouth, and then pass it to somebody else. And around we go. I have no scientific evidence that that helps your immune system. But everything in my body tells me that that is the case. I have not gotten sick. I have not gotten sick. And when I say sick, I don't mean like throwing up from alcohol. I mean like ill, like an illness, a cold, anything like that. Since high school, when I first started smoking. Except November 2019. There was a week or so where I felt under the weather. I had like, like my sinuses, headache, kind of whatever, and then it kind of went away. I know a lot of people say, yeah, I think I got Rona early on. But that was the worst I had felt, and it wasn't that bad, but it was the worst I had felt for no reason in years. Point being, smoking weed saves lives. Carolla hasn't changed much at all, at least since 2009 or so. Yep, he didn't become a right-wing troll. The rest followed the leftist flow. Exactly. Yeah, that's the shifting of the Overton window. If you can stand right here, but if the political landscape is shifting, then even if you're standing in that same spot, if the center was here and you were here, and then the center shifts to here, well, you didn't move, but now you're on you're in a very different place. Byron said from an older comedian. When I was a kid, we played with knives, guns, and fire, and you know what happened? The dumb kids didn't make it. He just wasn't afraid of germs. Who's that? Oh, right. Adam who? This is the second time. Who are you talking about? Oh. Somebody clip that as the dumbest thing I've ever said online. Anyway, because I keep calling him Carolla, and obviously my name, well, actually, I don't know if you guys know that, but you do now. But Adam talks about just this, how the human body is built to need resistance. So if you lift weights, you become stronger. If you're exposed to germs, your immune system becomes stronger. I'm not that smart. All right. I'm not that smart. I just know shit. There's a difference.
Well, David Alan Greer's nuts. I don't think people know that about David Alan Greer. I've been so generous and so kind and had such a great friendship with David Alan Greer. He's insane. These people, their side, they had 8 years of Obama. And then Obama, they lost an election and they got Trump and they all had a fit about it. Well, that's how politics works. Your side wins sometimes, the other side wins sometimes.
We were just talking about the pendulum swinging, and we've swung way far left. Sure, it could go further. But I'm hoping. I wanted to say it doesn't seem like it's going to go that way. It doesn't not seem like it's going to go that way. So I'm just going to say there's hope.
So they couldn't take the idea that Trump got voted in, and they went nuts. I mean, at least David did. But David's nuts anyway. People should know. I don't care. Listen, I was.
Oh, real quick, guys. Is my when I turn the camera off, is it showing my IndianJesus thing, or is it just showing that the picture isn't there?
Dear friends with David Alan Greer, he essentially called me a racist based on being nothing but kind and generous to that man for 20 years. He decided that. And people go, do you feel bad about that? And I go, well, I miss having a beer with David Alan Greer, but I don't feel bad about it. That's his decision. He lied. That's his decision.
So what?
That's what liberals do.
What's this political hatred about? It's kind of new. I mean, you're friends with Sarah Silverman.
I did a show with her last night.
I would love for the to hear a conversation between the two of them, because she's uber liberal feminist, and clearly he's not.
It's rare that someone on the left can stand someone like you who appears on Fox or says the government does too much pretending to fight COVID.
Well,
the government does too much, period. The government does too much, period. Full stop.
I don't know. Some people are intellectually honest. Some people have a dignity.
Most aren't.
Some people
Most
have character, and then others just get caught up in this wave, and they're mostly narcissists. I think it's not as a narcissistic thing, but I can't account for it other than I have not changed any of my views in 25 years of broadcasting. I feel the exact same. You ask me the subject, I'll give you my view, and it's not changed in 25 years.
Now, is that a good thing? Or is that a bad thing? We happen to agree, all of us and Carolla agree on this issue. But not changing your views in 25 years? I don't know about that. The world certainly has changed in 25 years. The country has sure changed. The culture has definitely changed in 25 years. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Is that, I don't know if that's a good thing. Seems like your principles shouldn't necessarily change, but your opinions and positions seem like they should be updated as time goes on. Right? What do you guys think?
The world has changed around me, but Joe Biden used to want a fence at the border. Now he doesn't want a fence at the border.
Yes, he does. He just won't say it out loud, or may not know what a fence is anymore.
That's how politicians work. I've never changed any of my views, and you can view me any way you want, but go back and check the record.
All right, this is from left field, but just
So Eddie Millam says, I think he's talking about like the basics. Men are men, women are women, big government is bad. That's the type of stuff that I would want to remain the same. And I agree. I think that is where he's coming from. I'm sure if he was pressed, like, there's nothing you've done, then I'm sure, Jeremy says, I'd opt that he doesn't know anymore. Doesn't know what anymore. Or he doesn't know anything else, like any space more.
because I've been listening to your podcasts. You talked with Bill Maher about how when we grew up, we were scared of our kids' fathers. I was scared of their mothers too. And we were respectful. And
Wait, we were scared of our kids' fathers? That would be you. Did I miss something? Let's run that back.
we talked with Bill Maher about how when we grew up, we were scared of our kids' fathers.
What am I missing? You are your kids' fathers. I don't get it. Finally, we're out to government from the Latin gubermenta, guber, to limit, menta of the mind. Literary translation to limit your mind, i.e., mind control. That is what government has always been about. He meant to say our friends' fathers. Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. We were scared of our friends' fathers. That makes sense. Okay. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Okay. All right. Okay. See? This just brings me back. This is for the Discord crew. That time when I got up one day, I think it was a Sunday too. And I was just like, hey, what's going on, everybody, in the Discord? And then Sherry was like, sometimes people say things that give me a complex. And I was like, well, what? And she's like, you're smart. Don't act like you don't know what I'm saying. I'm like, what? I'm not that smart. I'm fucking smart. But I'm also fucking dumb. Okay, we were scared of our friends' fathers.
Bill Maher about how when we grew up, we were scared of our kids' fathers. I was scared of their mothers too.
Gotcha.
And we were respectful
Gotcha.
and careful around them. And now what happens?
Well, we were scared of
Fuck you, Mom!
our friends' fathers.
Oh, see, if we just played it, then
Just to be clear.
Oh, I thought I said that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you did a slightly different version of it, but I think everyone knew what you meant.
not me. I'm too dumb. Sorry.
Which is, yeah, I was scared to death of Mr. Vendig and Mr. Lewis. These were all scary guys. I would never be caught in their kitchen with my nose in their pantry.
I specifically first one that comes to mind is Mr. Soto. I had a neighbor 2 houses down, and there was a kid like 2 or 3 years younger than me, but you know, we got along. There wasn't a lot of kids in my neighborhood, and maybe and it was a Puerto Rican family. They were very Puerto Rican, whereas like my family is you know, Indian, Asian, whatever, but we're not very like cultural. We're, you know, just boring Americans. I don't know. But yeah, I would be terrified going over to his house, and you know, he was mad. His dad was mad. His dad was mad, and he had no issues. He had no issues giving it to you straight. And ironically, I liked you know, going over to his house because when you weren't in trouble, his parents were a lot more fun, and like I was there was a girl I liked in middle school, and one of the big reasons, not the only reason, but one of the big reasons that I never I can't say I never really went after her, but let's say one of the reasons that I was able to accept that despite going after her for years that I wasn't able to get her was that her family was super tight-knit. And like I couldn't go over and hang out with her without like her parents and her brother just like being there, and like we were all hanging out together. And they were fine. They're cool. They're a cool family, but I'm just not used to that. I'm very like they're talking about. I'm not comfortable around, well, you know, at the time I wasn't comfortable around parents, because my experience is parents mean you're in trouble. Parents means, you know, so on and so forth. And I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, I don't want your mom to know like everything that I'm saying. I don't want her to see, like, I'm that's your mom. Like, it's separate. I don't know. Does that make sense? I don't know. Ryan said, now if I see a minor effing off, I tell them, go home and tell your dad another man said for him to slap the shit out of you. That's a good one. I'm gonna steal that. That's a good one.
When those guys came home from work, and I came home from work a year ago, and I was walking in, and one of my daughter's friends went roller skating past me in my entry hall and just said, you know, hey, Mr. C, and blew right past me on roller skates. Now you could imagine you trying that when you were 11.
And you and Bill Maher said it's because of the way parents raise kids. But I would argue it's because parents used to introduce kids to the world, tell them about things. Now our 10-year-olds
are being, all of that is being outsourced to the government and byproduct teachers. Parents don't want a parent. Not all of course, but the liberal ones. Like, oh yeah, let the teachers tell my child about, you know, all this weird stuff, and then just whatever appeals to them, we're going to support them so that we can post it on Facebook, and the same 7 people that like all of our same shit will get clout from them. If you're over 30, that's what Facebook is.
Tell us how to operate our cell phones. No wonder they respect us less.
Yeah, and being old is a bad thing, and wisdom means you're old. So why have wisdom? Why not just, you know in your heart of hearts what's going on? And it's kind of a war on old, and that's what got us where we are today.
Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, John. I appreciate it.
All right. So, lots of interesting stuff there. Lots of interesting stuff. The what do you got here? Salty said it's because we have a lot of people who care more about clout and attention than their own kids. You are correct, sir. You are correct, sir. Myron says, I stated before, I blame this on helicopter parenting, peanut allergies, and participation trophies. Again, you are correct, sir. You are correct. And this is why I'm seeing that we all see this stuff. So the older millennial parents who already have kids, but the kids who are young now, like I was saying, the kids who are young now, they are going to rebel against this bullshit. The millennial standard is to be, liberal, woke, so on and so forth. And they will hopefully want to rebel against that. And because, again, talking about actual progress, not progressive progress, it shouldn't take them a step back where they're going to be, racist or this, that, whatever. They should be able to take the good parts of the progress that we have, we've achieved, and then be able to do better. Do better. Yep. Salty is describing the trans movement. Exactly. It's not very heartwarming to listen to conversations like these. But I do think it is very important. And I do think the message of not apologizing, not bowing to the mob, and standing up for what you believe in so that other people can stand with you is the central message of what we just saw and what I hope that you can take from this. Is that, having these opinions is not popular right now. But you cannot comply your way out of tyranny. And that is the direction we are heading. So you have a choice. You can stick your head down and kind of fly under the radar for as long as you can. Or you can stand up for yourself. And if you stick your head down, eventually they're going to come for you. I was just watching the Milo Yiannopoulos episode of Timcast IRL. I forgot how radicals were. It's become people like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder that are the extremists online now. That was like the things that an Alex Jones or a Milo Yiannopoulos or a Sean Spicer or Gavin McGinnis or any of these people is so much further down that path of what the establishment doesn't want. And they're just slowly chipping away until there's one message. And all the people who are operating on, okay, I'm just going to, keep my head down and try to, whatever. You will be stuck to that one message. You'll only be allowed to think one thing. And that Timcast with Milo was incredible. Also, Tim Pool is Bat Boy, all grown up. Bat Boy? Like Bat Boy, like Batman? I don't know if I'm familiar with Bat Boy in that context. But it was a good episode. I think it was frustrating how literally for 90 minutes straight, Milo did not stop talking. And Luke and Tim tried to get in there and talk. And he just was going. And it makes sense. He hasn't had a big platform in a long time. But it wasn't a typical conversation because Milo is a radical. That doesn't mean all of his ideas are terrible, horrible, or anything like that. But he's a very bombastic character. And we've forgotten that that used to be okay. It used to be. And you said, Dave Rubin on. Oh, really? I'm trying to think how that's going to go. I'm kind of worried for Dave Rubin. Because I'm surprised. I'm surprised that they invited him. Because he is, I think, the top person who is, whether he is or not, is seen as the I left the left grifter. He's the top guy that everybody points to as, the grift of I left the left. And he does it pretty well, hitched his wagon to Jordan Peterson. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. But yeah, I mean, that's the main that's the meat of the show. So I want to show you guys just a little short video here, just because I don't have anywhere else to play it. So if you're done with this conversation, I will not be offended if you dip out. I would love for you to hang out and and just chat about this. And then of course we are headed over to Discord to hang out in the panel. Can't stay for too long. I have to be up early as a motherfucker tomorrow. But really, last fucking minute, you gotta come with this bullshit. And so my car broke down, and I had to take it in for servicing. And when it was done, I went to go pick it up, and like I said earlier, I was thinking that we were gonna do a TikTok review show again today. So I was going through and making sure I had enough content. But as soon as I hop into the car, I've got my Bluetooth earbuds and I got a hat, a beanie on, so he couldn't see. And so he starts talking. He's like, "I got to tell you the story." So I didn't. Thank you, Divine and Rod. Really appreciate that. Thank you. And he tells me this story about Laura San Giacomo. She was in Pretty Woman, and NCIS, and a bunch of other things. And I don't know. I just it was a moment in time, and I just want to share it with you guys. So here we go.
It's up to me. Hey, tell her she got the part. She'll jump off the ceiling. I told her she jumped off so they took us out. Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. It's a true story. I swear to God, I wouldn't lie to you. Look it up.
What did they take you out to do?
We go out to dinner because she got the part. So here I'm sitting next to Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. I was like 25 years old.
That's amazing.
They were young, and I was young.
Back in the day.
Now it gets better. So then she gets on a sitcom called Just Shoot Me. It was on for 9 years. And she keeps getting parts all over the place. So Pretty Woman comes about finally. And she says to me, the movie's all done, everything's done. She says, I think I got Best Actor in that thing.
No way.
Yeah. She got it. If you look, Bob. I can't believe it.
So that I was I pulled it through the quickest way to start this was go through Snapchat. So I was just doing Snapchat. So it was in 1 minute chunks. So whenever I have a thing here, it's something, whatever you missed. But so I should call it again.
I said, well, there's more to this story. I said, I'm glad for you. I'm really happy for you, Laura. So about 3-4 months go by, and I'm actually all commuting my ass off.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, I lived in Denville, New Jersey, all the way to South Orange. I commuted in a little Toyota Corolla.
Oh, that's a track.
Yeah. We did it for 4 years. So all of a sudden, I get this call, and she says, "Hi, it's Laura." I said, "What's up?" She says, "Well, I'm done with college now. I'm going back out to California. I met somebody at college."
If anybody can guess where this story goes, $5 Cash App. There are. Wait, let me make sure that nobody else, because if you've already seen it, it doesn't count. Okay. So, if anybody can guess where this is going, I will send you a $5 cash app. Just for fun. Why not?
College and I'm getting married. I said, Lori, all right. Hey, we're friends. You can call me anytime. So she goes, right? Get another call. Bob, I'm pregnant.
Oh boy.
I said, okay. You're married. He says,
It's not his.
Worse. The sonogram reads that the oxygen is not reaching the baby's brain.
No.
That's why you haven't seen her acting.
Oh.
She's actually on NCIS right now. If you turn it on, you'll see her.
It's Laura. What's her name?
SANGIA.
Oh yeah.
You see her?
Yeah.
She was my neighbor. Now you can read the biography. You'll see that she's from West Orange, New Jersey, and we grew up together in Denville, New Jersey. We didn't even have a mailman in Denville, so we were by Dover, New Jersey.
That's South Jersey, right?
Northern New Jersey,
Oh,
by Morristown.
Oh, right.
Right. So the funny thing about this story is this: it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, I got 2 votes. I got 2 votes on the poll, but there's 4 of you here, so that could still be 50-50. Well, let me know.
My husband walked out.
Or if you would just if you don't care, and then just hit yes, and you can leave when we start. But if you don't, whatever. I don't know.
Bob, you got to come out here. I'm cracking. I can't do it.
Yeah, this guy's Bob.
So I'm married. I'm not divorced. I have no kids. And I run out there, and she says, I stayed with her for a while. I said, I don't know really how to handle this, Laura. I said,
Real quick, this is who we're talking about. Laura Giacomo. She's in all of this shit. Yeah, just shoot me quickly down under. Pretty woman under suspicion, sex lies and videotape. Nina takes a lever. The stand. Saving grace. NCIS. Tall hot blonde. The Santa Clauses. Once around Barry. Stephen King's The Stand. Stewart saves his family. Where does they take you, Jennifer? That and a bunch of other stuff. Damn, she's been in a lot. Damn. That's a lot. All right, but that's who we're talking about.
She says, just stay with me for a couple weeks, and I'll try to get my shit together. And I said, her parents were a disaster, the whole bit. So her parents were in Florida, you know what I mean? She was much older. So I said, Laura, what you can do is just take one day at a time. I said, it's easy for me to say, but I don't know what else to say to you.
Yeah, that's a tough situation.
So she had some friends. They were close to her. And then she ended up Matt Adler. He's a producer.
Matt, who's that?
Matt Adler. He's a producer.
I'm sure.
He's not that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I heard him.
He's all right.
He's one of the mucky mucks.
He's a nice guy, he's helped her, but
I'll have to check it out.
So get this.
What is it about?
2 months ago, I get a phone call. I said, what's up, Laura? She says, remember I said to you I wanted to be an actress when we were younger? I said, yeah. She says, I wish I wasn't an actress.
Oh.
She says, I wish my kid was 100%.
Oh.
It's been hell. I said, Laura, I don't know what to say. I said, we're good friends. Matt's good to her. I don't know. She don't talk about it too much. But all this guy kid can do is go like this. He's 25.
Oh, man.
So that's the story behind Laura.
So always appreciate what you have. Because with all those shows, millions of dollars, well, I don't know, millions, but all that money, all that fame, and what'd she say? All I wish is that my kid would be all right. Early online dating. Interesting. Yeah, so that was not anything groundbreaking, but I just I thought it was interesting, and is this new? Is this new? Oh no, okay. Yeah. So I mean, Yeah, not too much groundbreaking there, but I just, I didn't really have anywhere else to show that. I posted it, but it's unlisted, and I don't, I didn't want to mess with the analytics or anything. So just a fun little thing to share with you guys from my life. But to circle back to Stossel and Carolla, it's tough, but I think things are turning around. I genuinely do believe that things are turning around. It's darkest before the dawn. It's going to get a little bit more crazy before it swings back. I think I'm going to try to get that dog trainer that I did and I Didn't Read Your Book podcast episode with back on, because it is crazy how many of, like, most of his Instagram is just him reposting his tweets. It is incredible how many tweets about dog training are directly relevant to politics and I'm looking at it now. On top of right now, people are getting the way. Yeah, the Wayans brothers doing white chicks. That, I don't know. What were you looking for with that? Because I mean, one, it was funny, but also Karl Malone was funny. I don't think that blackface is that big of a deal, because as long as you're not doing it to be, intentions matter. As long as you're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Clearly, he was just trying to be funny, and it was funny. Much like the Wayans brothers were trying to be funny, and white chicks is funny. I don't really have a problem with that. Yeah. So Divine said, yes, we're winning, and they are desperate. We just saw we didn't have a huge red wave in this week, but Republicans did succeed. I mean, at the end of the day, the Republicans did better than the Democrats, and I never in a million years thought that would be something that I would say is a good thing. But times change. Jameson, exactly. Both of them were funny, but no white person at all has had a problem with the opposite. Gotcha. Of course. I mean, this is what it is. There's too much of this that we're reaching a tipping point. How much or how many blatant double standards can we endure before normal people are like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right? Actually, you know what? Let me just, before we go, I do want to let's see if I can get this real quick. If I can't get it real quick, then I'll just hit it in on the panel.
The Act Your Wage trend, which has taken off on TikTok. The Act Your Wage trend, which has taken off on TikTok, is apparently best explained by this.
Okay. All right. Okay. So there is this TikTok that I wanted to show. And again, we can go through more when we go into the panel. But this tickled my fancy.
So the best part about debating with liberals and leftists is you can always defeat them with logic. But sometimes you get the added fun of being able to defeat them with their own made-up logic. So we've all heard the liberal argument for gender identity.
Facts, Jeremy.
That gender is a social construct, and therefore your gender identity can be whatever you feel it is. Like, for example, this girl creates a new video.
That was Matt Walsh. It was a different. That was on my homepage. I was looking for this particular TikTok, but that good ear. That was Matt Walsh.
Video every couple hours,
and that's a whole thing that I want to get into. Is why is TikTok's algorithm so fucking good? Before anybody gets on TikTok, all I think it's a bunch of teens just doing dances. But you get on there, and within 2 days, they're serving you up exactly what the fuck you want to see. Every single TikTok. It's like, God damn it, this is good. This is interesting. I'm supposed to hate you, but it's entertaining.
Letting us know what you can identify as. And don't worry, TikTok, I blacked out her name, so it's not harassment and bullying. But according to her, you could be XXs,
not as good at TikTok.
Dragons, dinos, bells, peppermints, paws, fawn.
Can y'all see that? He's reading out. This one is different pronouns. X's, dragons, dinos pronouns, bells pronouns, peppermints, paws, fawns,
purples, blankets, and of course the list just keeps going. The left has told us that we can identify as anything we want. However, the liberals in my comments, they've shown me that while you can identify as all this stuff, the one thing you can't be is a biological man or woman who identifies as a man or woman. No, because they've decided in those cases you must call yourself a cis man or a cis woman. Like recently I made a video where I said I identify as a man, not a cis man. And I told them it was important to me that they respect my gender identity.
I suggest lightly suggest that all of you pick this hill as one that you maybe this isn't the hill to die on. But this is what it is. Come on.
Don't worry, all the names are blacked out again, TikTok. This person says, I'm guessing you're trans because you're not cisgender. So I asked her, are you telling me how I need to identify? Are you not respective of my personal journey and identity? How bigoted of you. Do better. Her response was, definitions are important. Really? Definitions are important now?
Are they though? To the left is.
I'm not calling you a slur. I think you are because it sounds like you're misgendering me. You're not respecting how I choose to identify. If I did that to you, I would definitely get in trouble. So I said, oh, now definitions are important. Words have meaning. I am something specific because you say so. She continued on, I have never heard anybody say definitions are not important. You are allowed to determine your own pronouns, but since you use he, him pronoun, and you were born a male, that means you're cisgender. Again, this is a liberal
what the fuck?
Telling me how I have to identify. Do you think I'd be allowed to tell someone how they have to identify? I don't think so.
No.
So I said, there you go again, telling me how I must identify. It's so heterophobic and bigoted, not recognizing my right to self-identify. Ew. But the best part is my video seemed to have started a really big fucking debate on TikTok. Because not only are my comment sections full of people identifying as a man or a woman, not a cis man or woman, but it's become a huge topic for lives. Don't worry, TikTok, I blacked out everyone's name again, but you can see it here where she says cis is a prefix, not a slur. Here again where they argue cis isn't offensive, telling me what I'm allowed to be offended by. I think using the left's logic, we can all agree this is bigotry, and I'm triggered.
So let's go. Survivor Rod says language matters, or before you know it, they're leading you to the showers. This is why I continue to scream the phrase semantic obfuscation. They are changing how we use language specifically to cater to their own ideology, specifically to rig the game so that your ideas don't matter because you're not using the right words according to them. That is the plan of attack. And it is working. But, like Jeremy said, we do seem to be reaching a tipping point. It can only go so far. You know, in dog training, there is, it's obfuscation. But yes, you know, as a dog trainer, My company is all positive philosophy, so we don't use like shock collars or stuff like that. Not to say that those are wrong or bad. There's just a time and a place, and if you have a brand new cockapoo puppy, you don't need to be shocking that shit. Point being, I just realized this. Dude's name is the older millennial. I love that. What was I saying? But the when you are or when I'm training a dog, it's a three-phase process. So my whole thing is that the easiest thing in the world with your dog would be if they spoke English. And you could just be like, "Hey, yo, you mind pissing outside?" He's like, "Oh yeah, my bad, bro." But obviously, dogs don't speak English. We don't speak dog. So the next best option is to build our own language. So we start with basic commands and stuff, and then we build on that. And so in the beginning, you want to make it lots of fun. Oh yeah, you just do a sit and you get a treat, and I don't know, it's great. But you start turning up the difficulty. You asking for more commands for one treat, and eventually you're like, wait a minute. This isn't a game to get treats. You're trying to control me. And they'll understand that, but they're not going to be able to understand that, like, yes, I am trying to control you, but you live in a human's world. So in order for you to live your best life, I need to be able to trust you to do X, Y, and Z so that we can do whatever. And because they can understand that they're being controlled, but not why they are being controlled, then there's a process where you have to kind of jockey for that leadership position. And in that process, once that dog has that realization, then we talk about a why is it escaping me right now? An extinguishing burst. What is the fucking word? Holy shit. If you want to extinguish a behavior, extinction burst. There we go. Jesus Christ, I had a fucking an extinction burst. And so what that means is that if you are looking to extinguish a behavior, what you can expect is that there will be a burst of it beforehand. And so with the dogs, I usually use the example, imagine they got a button on the wall. They can hit the button and a treat comes out. And that's their button. It's on all the time. Most days they'll just give it a tap in the morning, tap before bed. Maybe give it a double tap. One day they're extra hungry. Maybe one day they don't deal with it at all. But it's their button. They know what it is. They know it's there. Then one day you hire a dog trainer and you turn off the button, and the button no longer works. What is not going to happen? The dog is not going to go up to the button, press it once, no treat, and be like, well, guess that doesn't work. That is not going to happen. What's going to happen is that they first would press the button, no treat. I know how this works. Press the button, get a treat. No treat comes out. Like, maybe I didn't press it hard enough. Maybe I didn't do that. And then there's that. Then maybe check the chute, check around back. You're going to do all these different things. Way more than you ever had to do to get that one treat. But eventually, you'll get to the point where, okay, I've been trying everything I know, and it's not working. So I guess this doesn't work anymore. This is directly relevant to democratic politics. They've been doing it so long. They've been able to hit that button and get the treat. In this case, votes, cultural support, whatever. Just a tap of the button, and every single time, the treat comes out. So now we are in the process of trying to turn off that button. The button's still on, but we're in the process of turning it off. And then once it does turn off, then we can expect an extinction burst. We can expect a much bigger push of this and the death throes of this ideology. That is what I think the next decade has in store for us. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I remember we are about to head over. I do want to hear what you guys think. We're going to head over to Discord and do the panel. I really, really would like to see you guys there. I really want to hear from you on this one. So if you haven't done so far, please do hit the link in the description. It is free to enter the Discord. And that is where we are 24/7. That is where we thank you, Divine and Rod. That is where we do cool stuff like we've got a competition going on right now. Salty Plays is winning there. Jeremy's gonna be there. And doing movie nights, all that kind of stuff. We are building more than just a product for you to consume. I am building a community that you can be a part of. But I need y'all to show up. So thank you so much for hanging out here. Even if that's all you ever do, that's awesome. That's great. I really appreciate every moment that you guys spend here with me. I really, really do. I'm trying to figure out a way to say that without sounding so cheesy and sounding so pandering, but I'm not there yet. I haven't had the type of support that you guys give me, so I don't know how to say to express my gratitude without sounding cheesy. But I do very, very much appreciate it. It means the world to me. And so if you have not, please do hit that like button. It is absolutely free. Income says Democrats promise the treat. Get vote, no treat. Promise treat, get vote. No treat, rinse, repeat. Pretty much. Pretty much. You are on point, sir. You are on point. So I'm hoping to see you in the panel. I'm hoping to see you, my friend. And we got a cosign from Jeremy. So as you guys know, we are on the race to 1K. I think that we can get. I think we can get there. I think we can get to 1,000 subscribers by New Year's. That is my goal. But I cannot do it alone. I cannot do it alone. I need you guys. Please. I need you guys to continue showing up. I need you guys to continue sharing your views. I need you guys to continue hitting that like button. I need you guys to make sure you're subscribed, to take the URL, to share it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Share it all over the place. Tell people what we're doing here. Because the more people we have, the better what we're doing will be done. So let's fucking do this. Because until then, I am going fucking broke. So if you'd like to help out, before we get to that point, please hit up the Venmo, CashApp, PayPal, all that good stuff. The IndianJesus, actually, PayPal is something else, but you're probably not going to use PayPal anyway. But like I said, you do not have to do that. This is a free enterprise, and if all you want to do is sit there and think about how amazing I am and how awesome this channel is, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, it is absolutely free to hit the like button, to hit the subscribe button, to hit the notifications button, to change the notifications to all and not just personalized. And again, you know how bad YouTube is with notifications. So if you can be the notification, you will be an integral part of building this community that I promise is going to be something that you appreciate in your life. If we can build it, and we are building it, it will be fucking awesome. Trust me. I just can't do it alone. So thank you again, guys, so much. I really do appreciate every one of you. Every second that you are here is building me up. And my self-esteem is directly tied to these numbers, how many views, how long you guys are here, how many comments, all that stuff, for better or for worse. I have built it. So now it is y'all's turn to hold up your end of the bargain. But yeah, I know what this can be. I know what this can be. And especially those of you who are already here, if there's more of y'all out there, you guys and me together, like what can we not do? Tell me something that is we won't be able to do as a group 10,000 strong of people like us. Name it. And you would be wrong. So I'm doing my part. All I can hope is that you guys do yours. And I believe in you. I believe in you. And again, even if it's just something that you do to entertain yourself, put my voice on while you're doing the dishes, washing some clothes, doing whatever, that's perfectly fine too. I appreciate every single second. So as always, we are headed right over to Discord to start the panel. Again, it is free, but it's not going to stay free. Once we have that platform, that community, that is fucking awesome, people will want to pay to be a part of it. And all of you get to be in for free. When you're, I have a number in my head. When we reach that number in the Discord server, we are cutting it off. And everybody who's in gets to stay in, lifetime subscription for free. Everybody else is going to have to pay monthly. So you don't know what that number is, and we are gaining people. So join the Discord. I will see you over there, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. You guys are awesome. I had a lot of fun tonight, and I fucking appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys so much, and can't wait to talk to you in Discord. Thank you again for hanging out. This has been another Indian Jesus party. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.